Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Unstoppable God. Start from adding attribute points infinitely. Chapter 61. Boom. Strong roars continued to be heard in the air. At the same time, a terrifying aura wave appeared on Lu Yun's body, almost forming a substance surrounding Lu Yun. The momentum was so strong that even Lu Yun was horrified. As the pure yang aura surged and dissipated, a hot breath emanated from his body and gradually spread in all directions. As the center, he gradually appeared in an outline, giving people the feeling that he was like a big sun hanging in the air on the top of the cliff. The pure yang aura was too yang in nature. Under the rapid rise, Lu Yun did not have time to fully control it, and too much overflowed, like the sun scorching. He could clearly feel the rapid rise in the temperature around him. If it were not for the cold wind blowing on the top of the cliff, he would be tortured by this terrifying temperature, and the last disciple's clothing on his body would be scrapped. For several hours, Lu Yun sat cross-legged on the top of the cliff without moving, his mind immersed in digesting the memory of the pure yang aura rising from Tongshuan to Dongzhen level. After digesting the memory, he immersed his mind in Dantian again. At this time, Dantian was extremely full, and pure yang Gangqi continued to overflow. In the 14 meridians, the mighty Gangqi was like a big river, surging and surging, as if it could break through the restrictions of the river bank of the meridians at any time and wreak havoc in all directions. Feeling this vast and arrogant Gangqi, Lu Yun smiled faintly. Everything in the body is controlled by him. If his body is a region, then he is the supreme ruler of this region. No matter how powerful and naughty the pure yang Gangqi is, it can't escape his clutches. With a slight movement of the mind, it seems that there is a supreme power. The surging pure yang Gangqi immediately becomes docile, flowing obediently in the meridians, injected into the Dantian, and then returned to the meridians, repeating the cycle. Lu Yun slowly opened his eyes. At this time, the full moon in the sky had quietly disappeared, and a piece of white gradually emerged on the top of the distant mountains. Immediately, he calmed down again and focused his attention on the panel. First, in the martial arts column, the pure yang Gangqi was upgraded to the Dongzhen level and could not be upgraded. Secondly, the root bone was directly upgraded from 5 stars to 6 stars, without going through the 5-star top stage. Lu Yun guessed that for the panel, there was no difference between the 5-star ordinary root bone and the 5-star top root bone, and there was no need to make a distinction. Of course, this was just Lu Yun's guess. Next, his attention fell on the martial arts column. Sure enough, it was still the peak of the Tongmei realm, but a new meridian was added, named Duyang Meridian. Ren Yin, Duyang, I don't know what the relationship is with the Ren and Du meridians. Lu Yun didn't care much. After talking to himself, his attention finally fell on energy. Only 930 energy points are left. This pure yang Gangqi is too terrifying. It consumes nearly 500 contribution points just to upgrade from Tongshuan to Dongzhen. Although Lu Yun was heartbroken by the terrifying energy consumption, all the heartache disappeared when he felt that he had become extremely powerful and had a terrifying foundation. The pure yang Gangqi has been upgraded to the limit. As long as I refine the Gangqi once, I can be promoted to the Junqi realm. I am not in a hurry to be promoted to the Junqi realm. The current main task is the 7 killing swordsmanship and the Black Tiger swordsmanship. Only when the Gangqi and the swordsmanship go hand in hand can I maximize my strength. Lu Yun thought secretly and weighed the pros and cons. Now he is at the peak of the Tongmei realm, and his foundation is even better than all the Tongmei realm warriors. In theory, even if he is promoted to the Junqi realm now, consolidating the terrifying foundation can help him easily complete the Gangqi 9 refinements. But others desire but cannot reach the Gangqi 9 refinements, which is not taken seriously by Lu Yun at all. It is just a matter of convenience. For him, mastering a state of mind is the most important thing when he is at the Tongmei realm. Continue to improve the 7 killing sword technique. After the pure yang Gangqi was upgraded to the Dongzhen realm, Lu Yun's body was also fed back and greatly improved. Consume 30 energy points. The 7 killing sword technique is upgraded to perfection 17%. Consume 30 energy points. The 7 killing sword technique is upgraded to perfection 32%. Consume. The 7 killing sword technique is upgraded to Tongshuan and cannot be upgraded. At the moment when the 7 killing sword technique was upgraded to the limit, the top of the mountain, the deep red murderous aura permeated, rendering the 10-foot radius of Lu Yun into a cold and icy area. And Lu Yun, his consciousness was immersed in a memory that suddenly appeared. This memory was very realistic. Rather than saying it was a memory, it was better to say that it was immersive. In the memory, the broken earth made a heavy groan under the charge of many iron hooves. Lu Yun's consciousness descended on a young general, leading the remaining 3,000 soldiers under his command to fight against the enemy's nearly 10,000 troops. The wind was getting stronger, the snow was getting heavier, and the weather was getting colder. The fierce north wind rolled up the flying snow and rushed towards the soldiers. Their faces and hands had long been numb, as if their bones were frozen. The horses were too cold to neigh, and could only run wildly in the thick snow to fight against the harsh cold wind. The flag had long been broken into pieces, and only the two words, "Black Flag," could be barely written, shaking in the turbulent cold wind, but it never fell. Lu Yun was a little confused when he suddenly landed on a battlefield with such a strong atmosphere of war. The cold and heavy armor on his body, the ups and downs of the warhorse, and the cold and whistling wind made the atmosphere very realistic and solemn. However, under the effect of the panel and memory, he quickly entered the role. But he did not completely replace the consciousness of the general, nor could he control the body that descended. He was both the general and a bystander. But the perception, emotions, etc. of the general were all transmitted to Lu Yun. The Black Flag Army is invincible and unstoppable. Follow me to kill the enemy. The general possessed by Lu Yun raised the blood-stained, cold and murderous sword and said in a deep voice. The words fell. The faces of the 3,000 remnant cavalry behind him all showed fearless and determined to die. If you want to survive on the battlefield, you must hold the determination to die. This is to survive in the face of death, and it is the secret of why every brave and combative Black Flag Army soldier is invincible and unstoppable. Behind them were pursuers, and in front of them were the enemy troops that had been waiting for a long time and were well rested. Kill. The long swords were unsheathed, and all the Black Flag Army was full of vigor. They were not afraid of the enemy troops that were lurking in front of them like a long dragon. Those who survived this battle will be promoted 3 levels. I will personally ask for this. After the words fell, Lu Yun leapt up and rose directly from the galloping warhorse. There was a powerful aura emanating from his body, which instantly shocked all the warhorses and Black Flag Army soldiers behind him. Then, the morale of all the Black Flag Army soldiers soared, and their faces showed fearless faces. As long as the general is here, the Black Flag Army will not die in 100 battles. Kill. I want to ride the wind to the north, the snow falls on Xuanyuan as big as a mat, I want to walk on the clouds for thousands of miles, what can a million-strong army do to me? In the wind and snow, Lu Yun led the charge. In this battle, I will definitely comprehend the killing state of mind and become a master. As he got closer to the enemy's army that was ready for battle, Lu Yun became calmer and calmer. Even if the enemy is numerous and we are few, I can kill dozens of times in the army. As the leader of the undefeated Black Flag Army, his cultivation has already reached the limit of the current realm. As long as he comprehends the killing state of mind, he can completely become a master and become the world's top master. By then, even tens of thousands of troops can do nothing. With repeated battles, his 7 killing sword skills have been cultivated to the extreme, and his strength has reached a bottleneck. This time, being surrounded and killed by tens of thousands of troops completely stimulated his murderous aura, and also made him have a vague guess in his heart how to break through the limit and break the bottleneck. Now is the time to verify this conjecture. If the verification is successful, he will be promoted to the rank of Grand Master, and the world will not be able to do anything to him. If he fails, he will die. The 7 killing sword technique is not afraid of fighting or death. With the momentum of breaking the cauldrons and sinking the boats, fighting to the point of madness, killing all and exterminating, and living towards death. This is the true essence of the 7 killing sword technique. As time passed slowly, the army in front of him was getting closer and closer. Lu Yun, who had comprehended the essence of the 7 killing sword technique, became calmer and slowly reached the point of calmness. But the difference is, his momentum and the murderous aura around him were constantly increasing, as if they could pierce the sky. At this time, the earth was shaking, the wind and snow were whistling, and the sound of the war horses neighing was clearly heard. In front of the vast snow-covered wilderness, countless black spots appeared. As he gradually approached, those black spots were getting closer and slowly presented a formation of thousands of troops. The cavalry was in front. Infantry is behind. When charging, it can become a huge flood like a sudden release of the floodgates, with overwhelming power. When it is ready, it seems like a huge city lying on the wasteland, solid and insurmountable. Kill. When they saw the enemy, the 3,000 black flag soldiers were in high spirits, and they raised their long swords one after another. The atmosphere of killing instantly reached the extreme, and they launched the most violent charge. Although there were only 3,000 cavalry, the momentum was already extremely strong, as if it could destroy any obstacles. In front of the 10,000 troops, a general wearing silver heavy armor drew a sword from his waist, and the sword body flashed with cold light, generating sword energy, crushing the falling snowflakes into pieces. He stared at the 3,000 black flag soldiers rushing in front of him, and said in a deep voice, "All soldiers, here, here." Tens of thousands of soldiers spoke at the same time, shaking the mountains and rivers, causing the flying snowflakes to melt directly. The raindrops formed by melting ice and snow were cold and piercing, like sharp arrows shooting at the dark and heavy black armor. After this battle, there will be no more Black Flag Army in the world. Kill. The shouts of killing soared into the sky, shaking the clouds. Tens of thousands of troops launched a charge, and the terrifying momentum suddenly spread out, like a fierce and peerless torrent, colliding fiercely with the momentum of the Black Flag Army. In an instant, the mountains and rivers wailed, and the world was turbulent. Here it comes. A fierce smile appeared on Lu Yun's calm face. The next moment, his body moved suddenly, and his speed suddenly increased. He carried the momentum that had been brewing for a long time and killed the surging army in front. Tear. The murderous aura condensed into momentum, and the true energy condensed into a sword aura, and instantly killed many enemy cavalry charging in front. Murderous aura becomes momentum, and sword aura becomes aura. The face of the silver-armored general changed. The killing aura condensed into momentum, and the sword energy condensed into aura. This genius general of the Black Flag Army turned out to be an invincible strong man who had reached the level of a half-step master. This matter had never been reported before, and it was hidden too deeply. Looking at the terrifying sword aura that was still strong and could kill people in all directions, he did not dare to hesitate at all, and directly slashed out with a sword. Two powerful forces collided in the air. Boom! The air exploded, the cold raindrops were crushed into pieces, and a powerful air wave swept all around. The cavalry rushing around were forced to retreat in a hurry by this terrifying air wave. Those who did not have time to retreat were directly turned upside down, and there was no intact part of their bodies. What a strong strength! Lu Yun looked at the silver-armored general in front of him, and his fighting spirit rose in his heart. Although the previous sword was not his full-strength sword, it also reached 90% of his level, but it was actually taken by the opponent steadily, which shows how strong his strength is. Although he was eager to fight, Lu Yun did not continue to fight with the other party. He withdrew after making a successful move with his sword. His goal was to accumulate enough murderous aura through fighting with the army, and finally break through the bottleneck of the 7 killing swordsmanship, comprehend the artistic conception of killing, and advance to the realm of invincible master, so as to break the siege of the army. A half-step master is almost invincible in the army. Without hundreds of thousands of soldiers forming a killing formation, it is impossible to pose a threat to him. Lu Yun was like entering an empty space. Every time he chopped with his sword, dozens of people and horses were killed. The silver-armored general was furious and immediately ordered, "This man is too strong. The army should try to avoid him. After killing the 3,000 Black Flag soldiers, we will work together to deal with him." As soon as he finished speaking, he moved, flew off the warhorse, and chased after Lu Yun. He was also helpless. The other party was at least a half-step master, but he didn't care about his status and rushed into the ordinary soldiers. He slashed out with a sword with hatred, and the terrifying sword light slashed down behind Lu Yun. But Lu Yun seemed to have expected it. He dodged the fatal blow with a flash, pulled out from behind, and killed in other places. As long as we delay for a while, after my army kills the Black Flag Army, we will form a military formation and kill them with a backhand. The silver-armored general snorted coldly and continued to chase. Kill. Lu Yun was completely immersed in killing at this time. He only drew his sword a few times, and there were hundreds of enemy soldiers who died under his sword. The cold wind was cold, the cold rain was rustling, and the blade was stained with blood. The more he fought, the deeper his understanding of the 7 killing swordsmanship became. At the same time, a killing force gradually condensed and grew, making Lu Yun more excited. Swish! The terrifying sword light slashed over, and the powerful momentum made the air roar. Lu Yun frowned, but soon relaxed. Now is not the time. Lu Yun swung his sword backhand, slashing with the opponent, and then flew out with the help of the powerful recoil force, and his figure disappeared into the army again. Whoosh! A long spear swept over, and the powerful aura shook the air and roared, and the protective true chi outside the body rippled. Although this force is not as strong as that of a half-step master, it is also extremely powerful. However, Lu Yun did not dodge this time. He turned around and slashed with a sword. The sharp sword aura burst out, which shocked the general. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Attack is the best defense. He tried his best and raised his gun to block. Boom! The sword aura fell, the long spear was broken in half, and the head fell to the ground. A gnat trying to shake a tree is overestimating its own capabilities. With a cold snort, Lu Yun continued to strike with his sword. War is indeed a millstone that devours lives. After just one charge, only a few hundred people were left out of the 3,000 Black Flag Army. The enemy army was united in front and behind, with a total of 20,000 people. In Lu Yun's sight, all he could see were enemy troops. As long as I am still here, the Black Cavalry will not be destroyed. Swish! A knife slashed across, a cold light appeared, and dozens of long spears broke. Then he flicked his sleeves, and murderous aura and true energy burst out at the same time. The soldiers who were besieging behind him flew out horizontally, hitting the soldiers behind with great force, and all of them ended up with broken bones. Because the Black Cavalry died one after another, more enemy troops surrounded him, and the pressure on his body increased dramatically. After killing hundreds of people, many attacks fell on him one after another, making the protective true energy dim a lot. Sure enough, if you haven't broken through to the Grandmaster level, it won't be of much use in the face of a large army. Once the army forms a battle formation and falls into its siege, there will be no good end. I don't have much time left. Lu Yun always looked calm. Although there were many enemy troops in front of him, he did not despair. The more critical the situation, the calmer you should be. This is the character he has cultivated for a long time. Now, the true energy in Dantian has been consumed by 50% to 60%. And the people who died under his sword, even if there are not 1,000, there are 700 or 800. However, compared with the nearly 20,000 enemy troops, it is nothing. After killing dozens of people, the tattered Black Flag Army flag finally fell down. The Black Flag Army is destroyed. The Black Flag Army is destroyed. Suddenly, a whistling sound like a mountain and a sea resounded, shaking the endless snowfield. As long as this general is still here, the Black Flag Army will not be destroyed. How can the voice of Lu Yun alone resist the roar of thousands of people? His voice was quickly drowned out. Similarly, his body protecting chi was also shattered. This scene immediately shocked the morale of all the enemy troops. Because they all understood that the body protecting chi was the means of the half-step master. With the body protecting chi, their attacks would not be very effective. As long as the body protecting chi was broken, the half-step master's body would not be much stronger than theirs. His body protecting chi has been broken, kill him. Kill this half-step master, and you will be promoted 3 levels. Kill. The shouts of killing were endless. Time passed, and Lu Yun's chi was less than 10%, and he could no longer offer the body protecting chi. Since he couldn't defend, he would attack and kill the opponent to the point of fear. Kill them all. Kill them all. Burn the boats. The 7 killing swordsmanship was stronger than the other, and each move was more terrifying than the other. In a blink of an eye, hundreds more souls died under the sword. At the same time, trapped in the encirclement of thousands of troops, after continuous fighting, his understanding of the 7 killing swordsmanship is growing at a terrifying speed. In the past, he had completely mastered the first 3 levels of the 7 killing swordsmanship and cultivated it to perfection. Now, he has perfectly integrated these three styles, and his understanding of the 7 killing swordsmanship has reached a very deep level. After the third level of the 7 killing swordsmanship, it has surpassed the limit of the 7 killing swordsmanship, and no one has ever broken through it. But today, Lu Yun feels that he is getting closer and closer to the last level. This last level does not have any moves. Strictly speaking, it is a state of mind. A state of mind that points directly to the state of invincible Grandmaster. And by practicing the 7 killing swordsmanship to the limit, by constantly killing, breaking the limit, and comprehending the intention, it is the killing state of mind. Swish! The long sword swept across, and several soldiers with sinister faces and murderous intentions were cut in half, and blood was spilled all over the ground. Then, countless attacks came again. Kill! Lu Yun's heart was calm, and he had reached a state of fearlessness of life and death. He swung his long sword continuously, devouring life after life. The 3 styles of the 7 killing sword techniques were constantly recalled in his mind, and he performed them one by one in his hands, becoming more and more proficient, as if he had practiced them thousands of times, gradually becoming his muscle memory. As the killing continued, his understanding of the first 3 styles of the 7 killing sword techniques became deeper and deeper. And the last style gradually took shape in his mind. No one knew that a killing intention was gradually brewing. On the other side, the silver-armored general saw that the protective chi had been broken, but Lu Yun was still like a killing machine, constantly slaughtering his army, and his expression became more and more solemn and solemn. You are a half-step master after all. If you die at the hands of an ordinary soldier, it would be an insult to the name of a half-step master. Well, I will give you a death. A sword accompanied by a powerful true chi fluctuation, evolved into a strong sword light, as if it was a ray of light at the beginning of the world, instantly tearing through the clouds, breaking through layers of obstacles, and descending on the earth. At the critical moment, Lu Yun's mind suddenly came back from the immersion in killing intent, just in time to see the terrifying sword light bombardment. Come on! Not only did he not retreat, he mobilized the remaining true chi in his body, gathered the accumulated killing aura, and slashed with a long sword. Boom! The sword aura and the sword light merged at the same time, and the sword collided instantly. The power of the 2 half-step invincible masters completely erupted at this moment, like a mountain collapse. With the 2 as the center, a powerful storm swept open, and the surrounding war horses and soldiers were blown away like grass and trees. The confrontation of the half-step masters completely exceeded the imagination of those soldiers. The true chi is burning. The blood is boiling. The murderous aura is gathering. Not only did Lu Yun have murderous intent, the silver-armored general also had a strong murderous intent. At this moment, the 2 of them exploded recklessly. Boom! The momentum that stirred the mountains and rivers swept away, and the 2 flew backwards at the same time. Kill! The long brewing murderous intent in Lu Yun's heart gradually condensed, especially after being attacked by the opponent just now. It was sublimated and began to sprout. Boom! The silver-armored general's eyes turned cold, and he swung his sword to cut. The 2 forces bombarded, and the violent wind swept away, and those soldiers who thought they had run far enough were once again affected. Puff! The powerful and violent force made the silver-armored general spit out a mouthful of blood. Lu Yun was also not doing well, and his internal organs were moving, and his already serious injuries were aggravated. But his expression became more excited. Because the seeds of murderous intent had completely sprouted. The desperate explosion, the long sword fell, and the silver-armored general retreated. Cut again. The silver-armored general was chilled and retreated again. Cut, cut, cut. The silver-armored general retreated, retreated. Kill! Looking at the silver-armored general who was constantly retreating, Lu Yun's body burst out, and a faint blood light was revealed on the long sword, suppressing the terrifying sword aura. Kill! At this moment, the murderous intent accumulated in Lu Yun's heart finally surpassed the peak and broke the limit. At the same time, all the understanding and perception of the 7 killing swordsmanship flashed in his mind one by one, and finally condensed on the long sword, and a shocking sword was cut out. This sword was wrapped with endless murderous intent. In Lu Yun's eyes, he felt that the world had become a blood red, everything in the world seemed to be stained with blood, and all living things were wailing and destroyed in this blood red. This is the state of killing. After saying this lightly, Lu Yun's consciousness finally left the other party. The golden swords and iron horses in front of him dissipated, the world was split, and the sight was completely occupied by a blood-colored sword light. Lu Yun opened his eyes again. The sun had already set and the mountains and plains were covered with red clouds. He felt a tingling and dizziness in his head, as if he had personally participated in the fight in his memory. No wonder it is so difficult to comprehend the artistic conception. Not only did it last for a whole day, but even the spirit was exhausted so seriously. He focused his attention. He did not immediately enter the state of regulating breathing, but calmed his mind and called up the panel. Name: Lu Yun. Affiliation: Filing Martial Arts Academy. Martial Arts: Wind-breaking sword skill perfect, cannot be upgraded. Hunyuan Gong Dongzhen, cannot be upgraded. Pure Yang Gangqi Dongzhen, cannot be upgraded. 7 killing sword skill. Tongshuan, cannot be upgraded. Black Tiger sword skill. Great success 13%. Fierce Wind Lightning Step. Minor success 1%. Root Bones, 6 stars. Martial Arts: Peak Tongmei Realm. 14 meridians, 12 main meridians, Renyan Meridian, Duyang Meridian. Energy value: 230. Artistic concept: Killing artistic concept, first level 1%. On the panel, there is almost no change in martial arts, only the 7 killing sword skill has been upgraded to Tongshuan level, and it cannot be upgraded, indicating that this sword skill has reached its limit. What? Only 230 energy points are left. When his attention fell on the energy value, Lu Yun's body trembled, his face full of shock and disbelief. After upgrading the pure Yang Gangqi to Dongzhen, there are still more than 900 energy points. The 7 killing sword technique only consumed 200 energy points when it was upgraded from perfect to profound. Logically speaking, there should be more than 700 energy points left. But now, the energy points have been reduced by about 500, which almost made Lu Yun crazy. What is energy value? It is the direct guarantee for his improvement of strength. But now, 500 energy points have disappeared, how can he not go crazy? When Lu Yun was about to go crazy, his attention was suddenly attracted by the last column on the panel. Artistic concept: Killing artistic concept, first level 1%. Could it be that the energy value lost is due to the killing artistic conception? If that is the case, it is an unexpected gain. The killing artistic conception is the artistic conception that is realized after practicing the 7 killing sword technique to the extreme. If the disappearance of energy value is related to the killing artistic conception, then it can also be improved by energy value. Thinking of this, Lu Yun's mind moved slightly and began to add points to the killing artistic conception. After consuming 10 energy points, the progress bar of the killing state of mind did not change, and it was still the first level 1%. Without hesitation, Lu Yun continued to add points. After consuming 10 energy points, there was still no change. Lu Yun frowned slightly and continued to add points. After consuming 50 energy points, the progress bar of the killing state of mind finally changed and became the first level 2%. It seems that the energy value that disappeared before was consumed on the state of mind. Lu Yun thought secretly. Although he understood the reason, he still couldn't help being shocked. It took a full 50 energy points to increase the killing state of mind by 1 progress. In other words, to increase the killing state of mind to the second level, at least 5,000 energy points must be consumed. This consumption far exceeded his expectations. But this also indirectly shows the horror of the killing state of mind. It seems that my understanding of the state of mind is too little after all. I must take some time to go to the library to check it out. The library of the Martial Arts Academy not only collects martial arts and skills, but also contains all-encompassing, miscellaneous books. After coming to the Martial Arts Academy for several months, Lu Yun has only been to the library twice. Both times, he left in a hurry after choosing martial arts, and did not read other, miscellaneous books. If it were normal, he would indeed feel that miscellaneous books were useless, and nothing was more important than adding points and improving strength. However, with the improvement of strength and the emergence of the killing state of mind, Lu Yun woke up and realized that he had many doubts about martial arts. Doubt is the biggest taboo in the martial arts. After making a decision, Lu Yun quickly calmed his mind and completely entered the breathing. The previous fusion of memories and the process of personally experiencing and understanding the killing state of mind consumed a lot of his mental power, and it took some time to recover. Wait until the first ray of morning sun falls in the sky. Lu Yun woke up from meditation. According to legend, the air rising from the east of the sun is the air of purple glow, also known as the purple air coming from the east. Absorbing and refining this first purple air is of great benefit to cultivation. Lu Yun opened his mouth and took it, refining. However, there was no movement at all. Could it be that the amount of qi in my body has reached an incredible level, so that this ray of purple qi entering my stomach is like mud entering the sea, without causing any ripples? Shaking his head slightly, Lu Yun stood up. It was still the same place, looking down. It was still the steep cliffs, the strange pines and ancient vines, the crisscrossing autumn mountains, and the rolling mountains in the distance under the rising sun. This time, everything was so clear, and the beautiful picture seemed to be right in front of him. Lu Yun knew that this was because his vision had improved again, and in addition, his mental power had also greatly improved. This time, the pure yang qi was improved to Dongzhen, and the 7 killing swordsmanship was improved to Tongxuan, and he comprehended the killing state of mind. With such an improvement, it was not only the strength and foundation that skyrocketed. Even the physical strength, vision, and mental power were improved. Feeling the all-round improvement, Lu Yun felt that his heart suddenly became much brighter. After returning from the back mountain, I saw many disciples in the martial arts academy walking in 2s and 3s. They were either going out in groups to do tasks, or trying to increase their weight in the Wanxiang Tower, or wanting to go to the county city to play, and they were walking and talking. Look, it's Lu Yun. Junior brother Lu Yun. Many martial arts academy disciples greeted Lu Yun enthusiastically after seeing him. Others who had only heard of Lu Yun's reputation but had never seen him in person all gathered around to see this genius junior brother who was famous in the martial arts academy and even in the entire Lingwu county. Others treat me with a smile, and I return a smile. This is Lu Yun's principle. So, Lu Yun also smiled and responded to everyone. Ah, junior brother Lu Yun actually smiled at me. Some martial arts academy disciples saw that Lu Yun was not as cold and aloof as other geniuses but responded with a smile. They were overjoyed. Looking at Lu Yun's departing back, they couldn't help but sigh. It turns out that geniuses are not all cold and aloof but also gentle and approachable. Junior brother Lu is not only very gentle, but also very good-looking. I don't know which junior sister will get lucky in the future. Many female disciples even sighed with resentment. I only regret that you were not born when I was born, and you were old when I was born. After Lu Yun's transformation, his hearing ability increased greatly. In addition, he did not walk far, so those remarks reached his ears, and he hurriedly quickened his pace. Although he had more than 20 years of memory in his previous life, he was still a virgin so far, and he had never even touched a girl's hand. How could he hold back after hearing such mushy love words and feeling the gaze behind him like a thorn in his back? After walking a long way, Lu Yun regained his composure. Sure enough, women are the biggest enemy. Be careful in the future. After returning to the martial arts academy, Lu Yun did not go anywhere else, but went directly back to his own courtyard. It was lunchtime at this time, so Lu Yun went to the cafeteria to solve the problem of food and clothing. Having not eaten for several days, and with a high consumption, Lu Yun ate very fiercely, eating the amount of food that 5 people could eat alone. After returning to the courtyard, he read the Golden Sun refining method twice, and memorized it word for word in his mind, and the Golden Sun refining method also appeared on the panel. After that, he went straight to the direction of the library. When he was about to reach the library, Lu Yun paused. Oh no, it seems that I have squandered all the contribution points. Lu Yun immediately held his forehead, and he was busy adding points these days, and almost forgot about it. Should we try the Wanxiang Tower? With my current strength, it is no problem to pass the 9th and 10th floors. Soon, Lu Yun put this idea out. He passed the 8th floor of the Wanxiang Tower some time ago, which made his reputation spread throughout the martial arts academy. If he passed the 9th floor of the Wanxiang Tower again after just a few days, it would not be a sensation but a shock. Lu Yun knew that the tree that stands out in the forest would be destroyed by the wind, so he would not make such a low-level mistake. Although there is no contribution value, I still have to go to the library. In this way, Lu Yun went to the library, returned the Fierce Wind Lightning Step and Golden Sun refining method that he exchanged last time, and went straight to the Internal Affairs Hall. The mission hall is part of the internal affairs hall and is divided into 3 areas: slaying monsters, eliminating monsters, and ordinary areas. The slaying monster area is dedicated to issuing tasks to kill monsters. The eliminating monster area is dedicated to issuing tasks to eliminate the sect forces in the Great Yuan. The ordinary area is the general daily affairs of the Martial Arts Academy. Lu Yun's target is the slaying monster area. The reason why the sect forces have always existed in the Great Yuan is that there are secret help from the aristocratic families or the forces in the court. In comparison, he prefers to deal with monsters. Monsters are more pure and are the mortal enemies of humans. There are many windows in the monster area, and the acceptance and submission of tasks are completed at each window. Lu Yun came to a window where no one was queuing, and showed his identity token. Elite disciple Lu Yun, come to accept the task. Please tell me what tasks are suitable for me. Yes. The middle-aged deacon in the window looked about 40 years old, with a gentle look. After he took Lu Yun's identity token, he looked at it carefully and a smile appeared on his face. You are at the peak of Tongmei realm, and your foundation is deep. No wonder you passed the 8th floor of Wanxiang Tower in 3 months after entering the Martial Arts Academy. While speaking, he registered Lu Yun's name and returned the identity token to Lu Yun. I have a lot of tasks suitable for you, but you need to choose which one you want. While speaking, the middle-aged deacon handed a book to Lu Yun. Taking the book, Lu Yun began to flip through it. The first page has content on it. Task 1. A demon beast is causing trouble in the Nanfang town area of Qingyan County. More than a dozen Tongmei realm warriors have died at the hands of the demon beast, and other warriors and civilians have lost their lives. According to predictions, the demon beast is at the peak of the 2nd level. Task level. Top yellow level. Task completion reward. 800 contribution points. Turn to the 2nd page. Task 2. A python is causing trouble in the Beiyuan town area of Qingyan County. 2 villages have been destroyed by it. According to predictions, the demon beast is at the peak of the 2nd level. Task level. Top yellow level. Task completion reward. 800 contribution points. Turn to the 3rd page, which still contains a detailed introduction to the task, and it is also a top yellow level task, and even the task reward is the same, 800 contribution points. Page 4, it is still the same. After reading it, Lu Yun frowned slightly. Why, you don't like these tasks? The middle-aged deacon smiled. He saw that Lu Yun had read the entire book but never picked a task, so he had a guess in his mind. Because he had seen this scene more than once. All the disciples who passed the 7th floor of the Wanxiang Tower had killed a peak 2nd level monster, and not just one. As a result, they naturally did not take the peak 2nd level monster seriously. When accepting tasks, top-level yellow-level tasks were not popular. In the eyes of the middle-aged deacon, Lu Yun, a genius disciple who passed the 8th floor of the Wanxiang Tower, must have looked down on these yellow-level tasks. His guess was not wrong, but this was not the main reason why Lu Yun frowned. Deacon, may I ask, are all top-level yellow-level tasks rewarded 800 contribution points? The last time he and Xiao Chen completed a task, the strongest was the peak of the Tongmei realm, which was also a top-level yellow-level task, but the reward for completing the task was 1000 contribution points. Later, because of the appearance of a 3rd-level monster and 2 Junshi realm warriors, the task level was upgraded to an ordinary Zon level task, and Lu Yun and Xiao Chen each received 1000 contribution points. This is also a top-level yellow-level task, but the task reward is much lower. The middle-aged deacon was slightly stunned, swallowed the words he had prepared back to his only son, and said in a strange tone, "You can say it is, you can also say it is not." What do you mean? The top yellow level mission rewards in the demon slaying area are all 800 contribution points, but the top yellow level missions in the demon slaying area are different. The rewards for completing the mission are between 800 and 1500. Why are the rewards for tasks of the same level different? Even if they are different, the rewards for tasks in the demon slaying area should be higher. After all, the strength of the 2nd level peak demon beast is much stronger than the warriors at the peak of the Tongmei realm. In addition, why are the rewards for the top yellow level tasks in the demon slaying area the same, while the rewards for tasks in the demon slaying area are different? Lu Yun asked the doubts in his heart. You think so, which means that you, the little guy, still have some brains, but not much. The middle-aged deacon pretended to be unfathomable, first hit Lu Yun, and then patiently explained. The reason why the rewards for tasks in the demon-slaying area are all 800 contribution points is because the strength and number of the demon beasts have been checked out, and they are controlled within a certain range to prevent them from wandering and continuing to harm other places. The tasks in the demon-slaying area are different. Even the content of the tasks is only a rough outline. You need to verify it yourself. The level of the tasks may change at any time during the journey, and the rewards for the tasks are also higher. Hearing this, Lu Yun nodded seriously. The tasks in the demon-slaying area are similar to what he thought before, full of danger and uncertainty. However, the task of killing monsters in the area surprised him. Since the monsters have been found, why not eliminate them directly? Is it just for the trial task of being a martial arts student? You are a teachable boy. The middle-aged deacon smiled slightly and was very satisfied with Lu Yun. But Lu Yun's next sentence broke his defense again. Just when the middle-aged deacon was smiling, Lu Yun spoke. Are there any Zon-level tasks? I think these yellow-level tasks are too simple, and the rewards for the tasks are average. Even though the rewards for tasks of the same level were higher in the demon-slaying area, Lu Yun still chose the task in the demon-slaying area. Nothing else, good security. You think these tasks are too easy? The middle-aged deacon was stunned for a while, and then looked Lu Yun up and down to make sure that he was not mistaken. Lu Yun was indeed at the peak of Tongmei realm. Of course, Lu Yun saw the other party's doubts and concerns, and immediately smiled and said, "Please rest assured, Deacon, I am not that arrogant person. I also know that the monsters in the Vientiane Tower cannot be compared with the real monsters. The reason why I chose the Zon-level mission is that I have confidence in my own strength." Hearing this, the middle-aged deacon nodded, but warned again, mysterious level missions are all aimed at third-level monsters. Even the weakest third-level monsters are not comparable to the second-level peak monsters, let alone those fakes in the Vientiane Tower are comparable. You must take the Zon-level mission. Lu Yun responded with firm eyes. In this regard, the middle-aged deacon could only sigh helplessly, pick up a book from the windowsill, flip through it for a while and then close it again. After a long time, he raised his head and looked at Lu Yun. Zon-level tasks are different from yellow-level tasks. There are many of them, and there are many people to take them. The supply has always been in short supply. I just took a look and there happened to be one that suits you. Deacon, please speak. There is a demonic beast causing trouble in Yunshui County. According to the intelligence, there is only one demonic beast there. It has just been promoted to the 3rd level and is listed as a normal Zon-level mission. Compared with other Zon-level tasks, I think this one is just right for you. Are you willing to take it? Quote. Yunshui County. Lu Yun thought, isn't Yunshui County his hometown? He can go back and have a look. Without thinking much, he quickly agreed and continued to ask, excuse me, can I accept multiple tasks at the same time? A mission only has 800 contribution points, which is really a little for him. And it takes a lot of time to go back and forth. As for the 3rd order early stage monsters, he didn't take them seriously at all. Quote. The middle-aged deacon glanced at Lu Yun speechlessly. If he hadn't known that the young man in front of him was a rising genius in the martial arts academy, he would have scolded him. You can't scold him, but you still have to remind him to prevent such a genius from developing a proud, complacent and arrogant character. Concentrating his mind, he said, mysterious level tasks are generally only accepted by disciples of the true Qi realm. As for you, considering that you have passed the 8th floor of the Vientiane Tower and faced the real 3rd level monster, even if you cannot defeat it, killing it will ensure your life is safe, so I let you take it. In addition, the Martial Arts Academy has regulations that any disciple can only accept 1 mission per month. The main purpose of the mission is to train the disciples and hone their mentality and strength, not to let them die. At the end of the sentence, the middle-aged deacon sounded very serious and dignified. Seeing the opponent's persistence, Lu Yun was very helpless. He wanted to say that even the mid-level 3rd level monsters were not looked down upon. The early 3rd level monsters were just stronger sheep. But can this be said? Of course I can't say. If he could, he might as well go directly to the Vientiane Tower. Compared with obtaining contribution points by completing tasks, it is easier to pass the Vientiane Tower. Would you like to pick it up? If not, get out. Seeing that Lu Yun didn't seem to listen to his words, the middle-aged deacon also grimaced. Yes, of course, Lu Yun replied quickly. After all, mosquitoes are still meat no matter how small they are. Hearing this, the middle-aged deacon's face became a little brighter, and then he took up a pen to record the information about Lu Yun and the mission in the mission register. You just need to kill the monster and hand it over directly here. Don't worry about the rest. Someone will check it out. In addition, you must keep in mind that life is more important than the mission. Thanks for the tip, Deacon. Leaving the mission hall, Lu Yun smiled bitterly in his heart. It was so hard to hide even while doing a mission. Also, the training mechanism of this martial arts academy is too poor. If these disciples are not allowed to fight monsters and beasts now to hone their tenacity and strong minds, will they be able to become the pillars that Daewon needs in the future? After secretly mocking for a while, the depression in my heart was finally relieved. After returning to the area where elite disciples lived, Lu Yun did not return to his residence and went directly to where Duan Qing lived. He didn't have half a tael of silver on him, and he didn't have any contribution points. He needed help to clear things up. After knocking twice, the round Duan Qing opened the door. Duan Qing's face was originally full of impatience and even a little angry, but when he saw that the person coming was Lu Yun, he smiled. Junior brother Lu, please come in. After sitting down and looking at Duan Qing, Lu Yun looked confused. Senior brother Duan is worried. Duan Qing used to smile very obscenely, but this time it was different. He smiled very reluctantly, and there was a faint cloud on his brow. It can be seen that the other party must have something on his mind, and it is more complicated. Hear the words. Duan Qing shook his head slightly and said with a smile, "It's not a big deal, I can handle it myself." Immediately, his eyes fell on the tiger head sword behind Lu Yun. Junior brother Lu, are you ready to go out? I just accepted a mission, and I'm going out to hone my skills and broaden my horizons. Hearing this, Duan Qing immediately became interested, as if he was not the one who was gloomy just now. Oh, is the mission to slay demons or to eliminate evil spirits? The elimination of evil spirits involves a wide range of tasks and is more complicated to handle, so I just randomly chose a slaying demon mission. Duan Qing immediately smiled bitterly. Junior brother, you are still too young. Although the elimination of evil spirits mission is complicated, the rewards are high. After completing a mission, you can not only get higher contribution points, but also other rewards. If you are lucky, one mission is equivalent to several missions of others. Hearing this, Lu Yun was stunned at first, and then his eyes shone with light. In addition to the mission rewards, he and Xiao Chen also received some silver and 2 martial arts books in the last mission. From this perspective, there is indeed a lot of money in the elimination of evil spirits mission. At the same time, he secretly hated himself for looking at the problem too one-sidedly. Seeing the changing expression on Lu Yun's face, Duan Qing couldn't help but laugh. Haha, it seems that junior brother is also a wise man. Lu Yun sighed. Alas, I just regret that I know it a little late. This may not be a bad thing. Junior brother Lu, although you are very powerful, you have little mission experience. Do a few demon-slaying missions first, and then accept demon-slaying missions after you are mature. It is safer. Duan Qing continued. Over the years, many disciples of the Martial Arts Academy have sacrificed their lives because of missions, including many talented and powerful disciples. Few disciples died in demon-slaying missions, far less than half of those who died in demon-slaying missions. Lu Yun nodded. This is normal. Compared with monsters, humans are more insidious and cunning. After the two talked to each other for a while, Lu Yun finally told his intentions. Duan Qing also happily gave Lu Yun 500 taels of silver. The kind that does not need to be returned. After Lu Yun made some polite remarks, he said goodbye and left. On the streets, vendors and goons were coming and going, making it very lively. On the second floor of a luxury restaurant, there are many people in gorgeous clothes drinking or talking, with confident and flamboyant smiles on their faces. Near the window, there is a young man in black robe. There is a pot of tea, several plates of meat, and a big knife on the table. The young man in black robe was enjoying the food on the table and admiring the scenery outside the window. Yunshui County is still lively and Tanglong Restaurant is still luxurious. They have not changed. I don't know if Yunshi Village has changed. Lu Yun looked at the busy traffic scene outside the window, sighing in his heart. Less than half a year is just a short moment for Yunshui County. To him, it seemed like years had passed. From a first-time warrior to the pinnacle of Tongmei realm, his true strength exceeds most of the true Qi realm warriors. In fact, he is the most powerful group of people in the entire Yunshui County. Such an achievement is equivalent to several years of hard training for other geniuses, and is an achievement that ordinary warriors cannot achieve in a lifetime. Looking at the young men and young ladies chatting and laughing around him, Lu Yun sighed again. If there was no panel, the life of these people would be their lifelong pursuit. Just now, Lu Yun shook his head and took back his thoughts. He was a prodigy from the martial arts academy, but compared to a kid from a small county town's aristocratic family, he was really degraded. After finishing the last piece of meat, Lu Yun shouted loudly. "The waiter! The guest officer is here!" The waiter hurried over with a smile on his face. "Check out, how much is it?" "Okay." The waiter smiled, looked at the table number, compared it with the list in his hand, and immediately said with a smile, "The guest spent a total of 891 fen, so I'll give you a small change, 890 fen." Quote. Just 3 plates of meat and a pot of tea cost nearly 900 cash, which was quite expensive. But today is different from the past. This little money is just a drop in the bucket for Lu Yun. After taking out a tael of silver and placing it on the table, Lu Yun picked up the tiger-headed sword and left. "Please wait a moment, sir, I still need you 110 cents. The waiter picked up the silver and hurriedly chased it out. "No need to look for it, it's just a tip for you." Lu Yun waved his hand and left without looking back. Seeing Lu Yun's back completely disappear from his eyes, the waiter came back to his senses, looked at the 2 taels of silver in his hand, and gradually smiled. "She looks younger than me, and her clothes are average. I didn't expect that she was quite generous." After sighing, he turned around to entertain other guests, hoping to meet some generous guests again. Lu Yun had already gone downstairs at this time and didn't know what the waiter was thinking. Hundreds of coins are nothing to him, and a reward is just what he wants. Tanglong Restaurant is not only luxuriously decorated, but also has attentive service. When Lu Yun came downstairs, his horse had already been fed and looked full of energy. "Drive." He got on his horse and rode away. This horse is a purebred, not only fast, but also has very good endurance. It cost Lu Yun more than 90 taels of silver. He took Lu Yun away from the county seat quickly and headed towards Lingxi village. "I'm really looking forward to my eldest brother and sister's expressions when they see me." On the galloping horseback, Lu Yun couldn't help but think of his elder brother Lu He and sister Lu Yu, and a knowing smile appeared on his face unconsciously. "Drive." Lu Yun speeded up again, as if turning into a gust of wind, heading towards a direction called hometown. The sun was setting in the west and it was already evening. The lingering halo of the setting sun shines through the layers of branches and leaves on the house paved with blue tiles, giving it layers of yellow color. The chimneys emit wisps of smoke, which gradually lengthens and dissipates under the breeze. A few scissor-tailed swallows flew through the air and finally disappeared into the jagged and crisscrossed courtyards. The small river in the east flowed. Young women doing laundry and children playing began to return home. The entire Lingxi village was peaceful and quiet. Seems to be a paradise isolated from the world. At this moment, a group of people came galloping over and violently broke into Lingxi village, breaking the tranquility and peace here. There are nearly 100 people in this group, each of them has a long knife in his hand, and a fierce look on his face. Judging from the miscellaneous clothes on his body, it is not difficult to tell that this is a group of fierce bandits. "Everyone in Lujiakyun, get out of here." The rough voice, with the increase of Junchi, suddenly spread throughout Lingxi village. "There is an invasion from a foreign enemy." Lingxi village suddenly burst into excitement. Members of the hunting team picked up their weapons and walked out of their homes, running directly towards the entrance of the village. "Xiao Yu, please stay at home and don't come out no matter what happens." After giving the order, Lu He picked up the long knife hanging outside the door and walked towards the entrance of the village with a solemn expression. "Brother, be careful," Seeing Lu He's resolute departure, Lu Yu could only give a warning. Lingxi Village, village entrance. Lu Kai, the big leader of Tianfang Village, has a strong figure, a sword and an horse, and is powerful. His tiger eyes look at everyone in Lingxi Village with contempt. There were more than 80 people behind him, all of them were vigorous and energetic, waving the long swords in their hands and roaring from time to time, treating the people in Lingxi Village as lambs to be slaughtered. Facing such arrogant people in Tianfang Village, the members of Lingxi Village's hunting team all had their veins bulging, and they wanted to fight each other immediately. Lu Yang, hurry up and get that old man Lu Kangsheng to come out and see me, or I will massacre Lingxi Village. Lu Kai looked down at everyone from a high position, and his eyes finally fell on a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man is Lu Yang, the captain of the Lingxi Village hunting team, and his strength is already in the early stage of Tongmei realm. But facing the powerful leader of Tianfang Village, he simply couldn't raise the heart to resist. The gap between the two in strength was too big. Haha, what wind blew the leader Lu here? At this time, Lu Kangsheng came from a distance, followed by two people, Lu Kang and Lu Mang. When his eyes swept over Lu Kai and the more than 80 strong men behind him, a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. It is obvious that all the members of Tianfang Village are out. Old man, this time I came to Lingxi Village to settle an old account with you. Lu Kai sat on the tall horse, holding a long knife in one hand, and said casually. Settle the accounts. Lu Kangsheng's eyes flashed with a barely perceptible gleam of brilliance, and he said with a smile, my Lingxi Village and Tianfang Village have always kept to themselves, what accounts can be settled? HMPH, don't pretend to be ignorant, my sword is not so easy to fool. Lu Kangsheng still had a smile on his face. I am old, and sometimes I am really a little confused, please give me some advice, leader. 4 months ago, you sent 3 kids to Yunshui County, what happened on the way? You won't forget it so quickly. After he finished speaking, a strong murderous aura emanated from him, causing the members of the hunting team to stagger. After feeling the powerful aura of the other party, Lu Kangsheng's expression changed slightly. The peak of Tongmei realm, you have broken through to the peak of Tongmei realm. Humph, you old man is quite discerning. Lu Kai snorted coldly, then glanced at everyone in Lingxi Village, and then said viciously, now I give you 2 choices. First, Lingxi Village was destroyed. Second, compensate me, Tianfang Village, 30,000 taels of silver. Wow, as soon as these words came out, all the villagers and hunting team members in Lingxi Village burst into an uproar and stared at everyone in Tianfang Village with righteous indignation. 30,000 taels of silver would literally kill Lingxi Village. Lu Kangsheng stopped the people behind him who were about to move. Now that the leader of Tianfang Village, Lu Kai, had broken through to the pinnacle of Tongmei realm, and there were more than 80 elites behind him, Lingxi Village would be in danger if they broke up with each other. However, he had some doubts in his heart. The horse bandits he met on the road last time had been eradicated by him, and the news would never be spread. How did Lu Kai know about it? After gathering his thoughts, Lu Kangsheng still said calmly, I have never met anyone from Tianfang Village during my trip to Yunshui County 4 months ago. Leader Lu, don't let others follow the wind or rain. Even now, this bad old man still wants to deny it. In this case, don't blame me for massacring the village. Lu Kai showed disdain in his eyes and was full of murderous intent. Behind him, more than 80 Tianfang Village elites also showed murderous intent. As long as the big boss gives the order, he will attack without mercy. Seeing Lu Kai so determined, Lu Kangsheng no longer had any expectations in his heart. The smile on his face faded and he said coldly, if you want 30,000 taels of silver, no way. As for Tukin, let's see if you have the strength. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Kangsheng's rickety figure suddenly changed, and a powerful aura emanated from him, like a lion that had been sleeping for a long time and suddenly woke up. At the same time, Lu Kang, Lu Meng and Lu Yang behind him also exuded powerful auras, and they were all at the Tongmei realm. You're such a bad old man, you've hidden it well, but since you've offended Tianfang Village, there's only one result, death. As soon as he finished speaking, he kicked off his feet, and his body immediately flew up from the horse. The sword in his hand flashed with cold light, and he slashed out with one strike. A simple blow of the knife directly made the air roar violently, and the violent wind roared, which showed the terrifying power of this knife. Lu Kangsheng palmed his hand, and the hunting knife in the hands of the members of the hunting team behind him was instantly unsheathed, passed through the void, and landed steadily in Lu Kangsheng's hand. As long as I am here, Lingxi village will never be destroyed. Lu Kangsheng's eyes were like lightning, and with a movement of his body, he rushed out like a tiger and fought fiercely with Lu Kai. The moment the two of them took action, everyone in Tianfang village jumped up from their horses and started to kill everyone in Lingxi village. This formation was like a bloodbath in Lingxi village. Seeing this scene, the villagers of Lingxi village who were watching from a distance began to worry. At such an old age, could the old village chief compete with the powerful and strong Lu Kai? Can the members of the hunting team stop so many Tianfang village elites? In order to protect Lingxi village, the brothers and sisters in the village, the old, young, women and children, all hunting team members and young adults, pick up your weapons and follow me to kill the enemy. Lu Kang shouted loudly, his true energy circulated in his body, bursting out with powerful cultivation, and his figure jumped out. Lu Yong and Lu Mang, two strong men in the early stage of Tongmei realm, also broke out at the same time, leading members of the hunting team and other young adults to kill the elites of Tianfang village. Lu He, one of the members of the hunting team, although young, was already in the middle stage of the martial arts realm. He was very brave. In a short time, he killed an elite of Tianfang village who was in the early stage of the martial arts realm. Kill. Lu Tianyu, who was only 13 years old, had a fierce look in his eyes and killed the person closest to him. A few months ago, although he failed the martial arts examination, he met many geniuses. After returning, he practiced hard day and night, and with the 2-star root bone, he not only became an official martial artist, but was only one step away from entering the middle stage of the martial arts realm. After a few fighting moves, he killed an elite of Tianfang village, with bright red blood staining half of his body. The members of the hunting team are brave, but they are outnumbered by Tianfang village. They can only vaguely resist the opponent. If the old village chief cannot gain an advantage, Lingxi village will be in danger. After dozens of rounds of fierce fighting, Lu Kangsheng gradually became exhausted and could only fight with all his strength. Since you are old and have poor health, don't show off. Wouldn't it be better to hand over 30,000 taels of silver? While Lu Kai was attacking crazily, he didn't forget to taunt him. Snort. Lu Kangsheng just snorted coldly and said nothing. He is always old and can retain whatever strength he can. Tianfang village is approaching menacingly, and the lion is asking for 30,000 taels of silver. It doesn't take a brain to figure out that the other party's real purpose is to massacre the village. After another dozen or so fierce battles, Lu Kangsheng's aura gradually became chaotic. Old man, it's okay. You've been fighting with me for so long, but it's time to end. Lu Kai smiled coldly, the sword light suddenly converged, and then more powerful chi burst out, shouting, thunder slash. Boom. As soon as the sword was slashed out, there was a sound of thunder, and a powerful sword light burst out from the sword and struck Lu Kangsheng heavily. Poof. The hunting knife in Lu Kangsheng's hand broke immediately, and his whole body felt like it was struck by lightning, blood spurted out, and it hit the ground hard. This scene made everyone in Lingxi village shrink their pupils, and their faces were filled with disbelief that their most powerful village chief had lost like this. Along with this comes worry. If the village chief is defeated, can others be able to stop the leader of Tianfang village? Can Lingxi village survive? Haha, old man, you deserve to die. Lu Kai smiled bloodthirstily and walked towards Lu Kangsheng, who was struggling to get up on the ground with a big knife. Since I am bound to die, old man, can the big boss grant me one wish? You should tell me. Lu Kai approached with murderous intent. How did you know about that matter, and why did you insist on destroying my Lingxi village? Lu Kangsheng spat out a mouthful of blood again, and his old face turned pale. As expected of an old guy, he can still guess some clues. Lu Kai had a playful smile on his face. However, I am sorry that I cannot fulfill your wish. As soon as he finished speaking, he poured his true energy into the long sword and slashed it down at Lu Kangsheng. Don't hurt the village chief. Lu Kang shouted, his speed exploded, and support came. HMPH, you don't overestimate your capabilities. Lu Kai turned around and slashed with a knife at will. With a bang, Lu Kang was knocked back and blood spurted out from his mouth. The gap between the middle stage of Tongmei realm and the peak of Tongmei realm was fully reflected at this moment. With us here, we can't even think of hurting the village chief. Lu Meng and Lu Yang also pulled out and attacked Lu Kai. How dare a pearl of rice compete with the sun and the moon? Lu Kai smiled disdainfully, and with a knife and a palm, Lu Kang and Lu Meng, who were in the early stage of Tongmei realm, also flew out upside down. Protect the village chief. The villagers of Lingxi village who were watching from a distance all had red eyes and rushed out of the village like moths to a flame and rushed towards Lu Kai. Although the ants are weak, they are really annoying when they scream. He held the knife with both hands, his true energy exploded, and a cold gleam appeared on the blade. How many of you will survive if I kill you with this sword? As soon as he finished speaking, he slashed down with his sword. The energy of the sword was vast, piercing the air, cutting the ground, and slashing towards the villagers of Lingxi village. Don't want. Lu Kangsheng's voice was hoarse and tears were streaming down his old face. Ah! Lu Kang struggled hard and tried to get up from the ground, but it had no effect at all. On the contrary, it only aggravated the injuries on his body. Is this the end of Lingxi village? Lu Meng slowly closed his eyes, and suddenly remembered every bit of his time in Lingxi village, the little guys who called him Uncle Meng, and those who accompanied him. Growing up companions. He didn't want to give up everything in Lingxi village. He didn't want Lingxi village to disappear. He prayed in his heart that if there was a god, he would appear quickly and save everything. The terrifying knife, carrying an extremely terrifying power, was getting closer and closer to the villagers of Lingxi village who had no cultivation at all, but no gods appeared. God does not. There was only a figure falling from the sky. As he approached Lingxi village, Lu Yun's heart became more and more urgent, and he unconsciously sped up. Before the sun set, he finally entered the territory of Lingxi village. Seeing the familiar village, the familiar river, and the familiar land from a distance, Lu Yun's breathing became rapid. Here are his relatives and acquaintances. It is also the first stop for him to descend into this world and the first place to accept him as a wandering soul from another world. It can be said that it is his route in this world. But when he just arrived at the entrance of the village, he saw a scene that made him completely go berserk. The old village chief was struggling painfully on the ground, and the eldest brother Lu He was fighting bloody. The villagers of Lingxi village were about to be buried under the sword of the peak warrior of Tongmei realm. All of this made Lu Yun completely angry, and his eyes almost spit fire. The fierce wind and lightning steps burst out, and he arrived in time, and at the same time slashed out with a sword, and the sword that made everyone despair was instantly broken. Then, Lu Yun's figure appeared in front of everyone. The figure that was not very tall to begin with became extremely glorious and majestic at this moment. The villagers of Lingxi village were all stunned. At first, they just wanted to fight with Lu Kai and win a chance for the village chief. But after Lu Kai slashed with a knife, they realized that the gap between ordinary people and the peak warriors of Tongmei realm was a natural chasm, so big that they could not climb over it at all. Even with a knife, they completely lost the power to resist and could only helplessly wait for death to come. But unexpectedly, at the critical moment, that desperate knife was easily broken. And the person who broke that desperate knife was standing in front of them with a tiger-headed big knife that was almost half a person tall. The sun was setting, and the last ray of the setting sun fell on the head of the village, and the brilliance was everywhere, like broken gold. Lu Yun held a long knife in his hand, with his back to the crowd, and stared at Lu Kai with cold eyes, indifferent, as if looking at a dead person. Being stared at by that terrifying gaze, Lu Kai felt cold all over. What kind of eyes made his soul tremble a little? Not daring to look at Lu Yun again, Lu Kai involuntarily tightened the long sword in his hand and took 2 steps back. He looked up at Lu Yun again, and then he saw Lu Yun's appearance clearly. It's a teenager, how is it possible? Lu Kai couldn't help but mutter to himself. Not to mention that the other party easily broke his powerful sword, but also used a look to make him lose the will to fight. This terrifying existence is just a teenager, how can he not be shocked? Am I wrong? Lu Kai raised his eyes again and looked into the eyes full of indifference and coldness. The moment they looked at each other, Lu Kai shuddered all over. Yes, it's this kind of scary look, this boy is so scary. Lu Kai's palms sweated unconsciously, his hands trembled slightly, and his body trembled and took 2 steps back again. You, who are you? Lu Kai stuttered. Kill your people. After saying this, Lu Yun moved his body, and the distance of more than 10 feet was reached in an instant. At the same time, a knife also arrived. This knife was extremely simple, as if it was used to chop cats and dogs, simple as it could not be simpler, and casual as it could not be more casual. But it was such a simple and casual knife that made Lu Kai feel the crisis of life and death. This knife is too strong, I can't resist at all, I will die. This thought instantly appeared in Lu Kai's mind. What should I do? What should I do? I don't want to die. Lu Kai shouted frantically in his heart, and at the same time thought about the rescue plan. But the opponent's speed was too fast, so fast that it completely exceeded his imagination, leaving him no time to think. No, I have a secret. At the last critical moment, Lu Kai almost subconsciously shouted this sentence. Puff. After the knife fell, Lu Kai opened his eyes and saw a cold-faced boy standing in front of him, looking at him coldly. But his focus was not here. Well, I'm not dead, and I don't feel any pain. Did what I said just now work? Just when he thought of this, he suddenly felt something was wrong. Why does my body feel a little unbalanced, as if the left side is a little lighter? His eyes almost instantly looked to the left side of his body. It doesn't matter if he doesn't look, but as soon as he looks, his pupils shrink violently, and at the same time, a strong sense of pain is born in his mind, and instantly spreads to all parts of his body. Ah! Lu Kai immediately hugged his left arm and screamed in pain. HMPH, spare your life first. Lu Yun passed Lu Kai and instantly came to the place where the hunting team members and the elites of Tianfang village were fighting. Swish, swish, swish. It was like entering an empty place, and corpses fell to the ground one by one. Not long after, all the elites of Tianfang village were gone. At this time, the members of the hunting team came to their senses and looked at the mysterious man who saved Lingxi village. He was not tall, wearing a black robe, holding a tiger-headed sword that was almost half his height, and he looked murderous and frightening. Why does this man look familiar? Lu He and Lu Tianyu rubbed their eyes, then looked at each other and said in an unbelievable tone, "It seems, it's Lu Yun." Yes, that's right, it's Xiao Yun. Lu He's voice suddenly rose, and his body trembled violently, his face full of excitement. In the past few months, he and Lu Yu have been worried about Lu Yun. In their impression, Lu Yun has always been a weak brother who needs care. They are afraid that he will not have a good life outside and that he will be bullied. Lu Yu even often dreamed of Lu Yun in the middle of the night, and after waking up, his face was covered with tears. Now, finally seeing his brother again, Lu He's joy and excitement are beyond words. It's really Lu Yun, Lu Tianyu muttered to himself, his pupils full of disbelief and disbelief. It's only been 4 months since we last met, and Lu Yun's appearance has changed drastically, and his strength has also become so terrifying. Is that really Lu Yun? Lying on the ground, Lu Kang and Lu Meng, who were very close to each other, looked at each other and said suspiciously. Killing the peak of Tongmei realm is like killing a dog, chopping dozens of Tianfang village elites is like chopping wood. This mysterious strong man is actually Lu Yun, the little guy with good talent. At this moment, they feel that their cognition and worldview are collapsing. Some people have grown from just becoming a warrior to killing Tongmei realm like killing a dog in just a few months. Is this still a little talented? This is simply not a human. It's a monster. Haha, Lingxi village is finally safe. Seeing that everyone in Tianfang village was killed and Lu Kai's arm was cut off, the old village chief finally breathed a sigh of relief and slowly closed his eyes. He was old after all, and his strength could not be exerted at all. For Lingxi village, he fought with the strong Lu Kai for nearly 100 moves, almost exhausting all his energy. He was able to hold on until now, all thanks to an unwilling will. Village chief. Everyone in Lingxi village surrounded him. After a long time, someone said, "The village chief is fine, just exhausted and seriously injured, just need to recuperate for a while." On the other side, Lu Yun walked in front of Lu He, with a smile on his face, an unprecedented smile. Brother. At night, the Lu family hall in Lingxi village is brightly lit. Lu Kai, whose arm was broken, was lying on the ground like an insect, with blood-red eyes and sweat on his forehead. He looked a little miserable under the light. Directly in front of him sat the old village chief Lu Kangsheng, Deputy Village Chief Lu Kang, hunting team captains Lu Yong and Lu Meng, and Lu Yun stood quietly aside. Tell me, how did you know what happened 4 months ago, and why did you want to destroy my Lingxi village? When Lu Kang spoke, his eyes were cold and a cold light flashed. I said, can you let me live? Lu Kai struggled and wanted to get up, but he was tied up all over his body and lost an arm, so he couldn't get up at all. You have no right to choose now. Lu Yong snorted coldly, full of killing intent. Lu Kai glanced at the other party with disdain, and then turned his attention to Lu Yun, who was standing aside. If you say it, you will die happily. If you don't say it, you will die in pain. Lu Yun's words were concise and to the point. Lu Kai's eyes dimmed, his expression didn't change much, he seemed to have guessed this ending. After a long silence, he said slowly, as a deal, tell me who you are and what your cultivation level is. Originally, Lingxi village was about to be completely wiped out by blood. At the critical moment, the young man in front of him disrupted the situation. This was something he could not figure out clearly. Who is this young man, what is his relationship with Lingxi village, and why did he help Lingxi village? What kind of cultivation level did he have, and why just one glance made me at the peak of Tongmei realm unable to resist? Lu Kai wanted to know all this, he didn't want to be a fool. In fact, not only Lu Kai wanted to know Lu Yun's cultivation, but Lu Kangsheng, Lu Meng and others also wanted to know Lu Yun's cultivation. At this time, they all focused their attention on Lu Yun. I, Lu Yun, am at the pinnacle of Tongmei realm. Lu Yun said calmly, without any fluctuation in his mood. Impossible. The voices of Lu Kai and Lu Kangsheng sounded at the same time. Lu Kang, Lu Yong, and Lu Meng also frowned slightly. Is there such a strong pinnacle of Tongmei realm? Okay, now it's time to confess. Lu Yun had no intention of explaining at all. Lu Kai coughed and asked again, ahem, one last question, how many meridians have you opened now? Don't push yourself too far. Lu Yun stepped forward, releasing a powerful aura that made Lu Kai's pupils widen and he almost suffocated. Tell me, or kill me. Lu Kai struggled with difficulty, spitting out word after word through his teeth. Lu Yun frowned slightly, then relaxed it again, calmed down his breath, looked down at Lu Kai condescendingly, and said in a cold tone, I have never been merciful to my enemies, and I don't want it to happen again. Without the pressure of the strong aura, Lu Kai finally recovered. After taking a deep breath, he smiled ferociously. Haha, as long as you fulfill my last wish, I will naturally tell you what you want to know. Lu Yun did not look at Lu Kai anymore, but looked back at Lu Kangsheng and others. The indifferent expression on his face subsided, and then he said, there is a gap between the peak of Tongmei realm and the peak of Tongmei realm. Because of their foundation, talent, and martial arts, some people may reach the pinnacle of the meridians by opening only 6 or 7 meridians. Those who reach the pinnacle of Tongmei realm with 6 or 7 meridians are ordinary warriors. As for me, I have cleared a few more than the average warrior, barely 10. Quote. Hiss. Hearing that Lu Yun had opened up 10 meridians, everyone in the clan hall took a breath of air and felt excited. I have only opened up 1 meridian so far. Lu Yun, you have opened up 10 meridians. This is not enough for people to live. Lu Meng wanted to look up to the sky and scream. Lu Yong also looked at Lu Yun with a strange look. It was incredible. He had been practicing for decades, but he had only finally opened up 2 meridians. At this time, Lu Kang suddenly shouted, looked at Lu Kangsheng sitting next to him, and asked curiously, Old Village Chief, aren't you at the pinnacle of the Tongmei realm? How many meridians have you opened? Hearing this, Lu Kangsheng's old face suddenly turned red, and he lacked confidence and said, Old man, my talent is not good, I can barely open the 6 meridians. Immediately, a smile broke out on his old face, and a trace of blush appeared on his originally old face. Haha, old man, although I am the most ordinary peak Tongmei realm, I have no regrets in being able to witness Lu Yun's rise in my lifetime. In less than a year of practice, Lu Yun reached the pinnacle of Tongmei realm and opened 10 more meridians. His future is promising. Lingxi village is no longer in danger. Thinking of this, Lu Kangsheng coughed a few times excitedly, almost causing his wound. The expression on Lu Kai's face kept changing. When he was sure that Lu Yun was really at the pinnacle of Tongmei realm, he suddenly laughed wildly, ha ha ha, I miss you Lu Kai. As the leader of Tianfang village, I have lived a life full of freedom and unrestrainedness. I didn't expect the end. Because of a mistake, I died here. What a tragedy, what a tragedy. Although it is not your luck to die in my hands, it is definitely not sad. Lu Yun stared coldly, with no emotion in his eyes. The smile on Lu Kai's face slowly faded, his eyes fell on the ceiling, as if he was lost in memories, and he said, "For Tianfang village, they often live on a knife's edge. It is normal for a few people to die, let alone someone who has been dead for several months. 2 days ago, someone suddenly came to the door and offered me 10,000 taels of silver to cleanse Lingxi village and inform Lu Kansheng of the massacre of the people in Tianfang village 4 months ago." Lu Kangsheng's expression tightened and he asked, "Who is he?" A vicious look appeared on Lu Kai's face, and he said with hatred, "The man was wearing a black robe and a silver mask, trying to hide his identity, but his body shape, his voice, and his habitual movements completely betrayed him. He is Mu Ying Bo." After saying that, Lu Kai closed his eyes and waited for his neck to be killed. Puff! The long knife fell, and blood splattered. Mu Yingbo. Lu Yun looked puzzled. In his memory, there was no such person. However, there seemed to be one with the surname Mu. Lu Yun's mind unconsciously thought of Mu Qingyan, who came to his door in person and gave him a bottle of Tongmei Dan. Mu Yingbo, isn't he the steward of Qingfang Villa? Lu Kang said puzzledly. Arlingshi village and Qingfang Villa have no communication, and there is no grudge. Why did he let Tianfang village massacre Lingxi village? The other people also looked worried. Qingfang Villa is far from being comparable to Tianfang village. Qingfang Villa not only has industries throughout Yunshui and surrounding counties, but also has strong strength. Its owner Mu Qingfang is a true Qi realm expert and one of the most powerful people in Yunshui County. Although Lu Yun is strong, in their opinion, he can never be Mu Qingfang's opponent. Is it possible that the fate of Arlingshi village will become history? Lu Yong felt infinite sadness in his heart. HMPH, don't say such depressing words. Lu Kangsheng snorted coldly. Qingfang Villa is different from Tianfang village. He dare not deal with Arlingshi village blatantly, unless they don't want to gain a foothold in Yunshui County or even the Yuan dynasty. Lu Yong still looked worried. It's easy to dodge an open spear, but it's hard to guard against a hidden arrow. Even if they don't take action themselves, they will inevitably ask others to take action again. Just as Lu Kangsheng and others were talking to each other, Lu Yun had quietly left the clan hall. Chapter 71. Qingfang Villa is dozens of miles away from Lingxi village, and Lu Yun drove there overnight. He rushed all the way and finally arrived at the foot of Qingfang Villa at midnight. It was already late at night, and the bright moon in the sky quietly hid in the dense black clouds, making the whole world even darker. Lu Yun looked up at the Qingfang Villa standing on the top of the mountain with twinkling lights, his eyes calm. "I really don't like killing people, but you insist on forcing me. If so, then you can't blame me." With his feet on the saddle, the pure-blooded black horse neighed and ran wildly along the mountain path. When he reached the halfway point of the mountain, Lu Yun turned over and dismounted, and quietly climbed to the top of the mountain. "Lao Zhang, I'm really a little sleepy, you hold on for a while." In front of the mountain gate of Qingfang Villa, 2 guards with swords lazily leaned against a red-painted pillar each. "You are sleepy, but I am not. Why don't you hold on for a while? Old Zhang, you are very good. You have forgotten the secret between us so quickly. Then I will just let more people know tomorrow." The guard who spoke earlier had a pair of dead fish eyes and smiled obscenely. Hearing this, the guard called Old Zhang suddenly slumped down and said unhappily, Okay, you take a nap first, I will watch everything." "Ha, that's right." The dead fish eyes guard laughed and sat on the ground, leaning his head against the red pillar, and slowly fell asleep. Old Zhang looked around and saw that there was no one. He quietly took out a yellow book from his arms and flipped through it under the weak light. "I was watching the exciting part last time, but it was ruined by these dead fish eyes. This time I must watch it carefully." After a while, the exciting scenes in the book came into view. The dragon swings its tail, the arrogant dragon regrets, the flying dragon in the sky, the dragon fighting in the wild. Every time he sees a move, Lao Zhang's pupils get bigger and his expression becomes more excited. Halfway through, blood flows out of his nose unconsciously. "It seems that I have taken too many supplements recently." Lao Zhong wiped the blood from his nose casually, and his eyes continued to fall on the pictures in the book, watching with relish. It turns out that there are so many moves in fighting. No, I'll take some time to go to the city and unlock them with Xiao Taohong. After reading half of it, Lao Zhong stretched his waist with reluctance, feeling full of energy. If conditions permit, he can even kill 7 in and 7 out. Well, it seems that the wind just now. Lao Zhong rubbed his eyes and looked around. The vines hanging from the wall did not flutter at all. There are beautiful women in the book, so I'd better continue reading my book. Then, his attention was immersed in the pictures in the book again. The lights in the owner's study were bright at this time. Mu Qingfeng put his hands behind his back, admiring the calligraphy on the table. There were 4 characters written in a flamboyant style on the calligraphy. The highest virtue is like water. The ink was not dry yet, and it could be seen that it was just written. Next to Mu Qingfeng stood a skinny middle-aged man, with one hand in front of his lower abdomen and the other hand behind his back. This man was the chief steward of Qingfeng Villa, Mu Yingbo. The owner's calligraphy is not only well written and powerful, but also heavy and vigorous, with a grand and unworldly atmosphere and a profound artistic conception. When Mu Yingbo spoke, his hand in front of his lower abdomen waved from time to time, but there was always a rhythm, which was related to the breadth of his speech. Calligraphy is something that needs constant practice. You can't fall behind. Otherwise, it will become rusty over time. Mu Qingfeng shook his head and asked casually, "Has the matter that Yuner asked you to do been settled?" Mu Yingbo's eyes were gloomy and vicious, with a cold light flashing. Lu Kai, the leader of Tianfeng village, led all the elites in the village to go out, and there should be a result tomorrow. Things without results mean that there will be changes, and changes will cause complications. Send someone to check it out. Okay, I will go to Lingxi village in person tomorrow morning. Mu Qingfeng picked up the teacup on the table, paused, and then nodded. Okay, and Lu Kai, you can do it. Master, don't worry, I never leave any trouble behind when I do things. Immediately, Mu Yingbo said goodbye and left. As soon as he went out, he felt a chill. Looking up, a knife light came, and there was a thunderous sound in the air, which was almost deafening. Facing this sudden knife, Mu Yingbo's brain had a short circuit for a moment. When he reacted, he was horrified. Although he was a true Qi realm warrior, he had no power to resist this knife. He didn't even have time to dodge, and the knife pierced his soul. Mu Yingbo's head flew in from the crack of the door and landed at Mu Qingfeng's feet, staining the tiger skin floor blood red. The whole process was just a moment. Looking at the head with pupils wide open on the ground, Mu Qingfeng felt a chill all over his body. The owner of the head on the ground was not an ordinary person, nor an ordinary warrior, but a true Qi realm warrior. In Yunshui County, a true Qi realm warrior who would shake the entire Yunshui County with a stomp of his feet was gone in just a moment. This was also strong, so strong that the owner of Qingfeng Villa, who had cultivated himself for more than 10 years, was instantly broken. Mu Qingfeng unconsciously checked his waist and found that his weapon was not on him. He looked around and saw a long sword hanging in the corner. He staggered over and drew his sword. "Excuse me, which senior is this? Please come out and see me." He clenched his sword and looked outside the door, but he found nothing. Mu Qingfeng continued to raise his voice. "Mu has always been easygoing, never fighting, and never fighting with others. I don't know where I have offended the senior, so that you came to kill me today." There was still no sound, and no figure could be seen. Only the cold wind blew, making the doors and windows creak. The more this happened, the more uneasy Mu Qingfeng felt. He deliberately raised his voice just now to attract the attention of the guards in the villa. But now, there was no movement at all, and the result was self-evident. Mu Qingfeng shouted, "Who is it? Who are you?" There was still no response, which made Mu Qingfeng gradually crazy. At the same time, his true energy burst out, the cold light on the sword flashed, and the sharp sword energy raged in the room. "You are hiding your head and showing your tail. Come out and fight me." This time, there was finally a response. However, in response to his knife, a knife cut through the sky and cut through the darkness. After seeing this knife, Mu Qingfeng's panic expression finally eased. The unknown is the most terrifying thing, especially when the opponent can instantly kill Mu Yingbo, who is in the early stage of the true Qi realm. But after seeing this knife, he was not so scared. The opponent is strong, but not the kind of powerless strength. As long as I can hold on for a few moves, escape from this room, escape from this courtyard, he will die. Mu Qingfeng showed a sinister smile on his face, and when the knife light was about to fall, he moved his body and flew towards the window. Just as he jumped out of the window, a strong wind hit him, and at the same time his heart was chilled. Puff! The sound of the long knife entering the flesh sounded, followed by a strong force hitting his back. How is it possible? Before dying, Mu Qingfeng said this last sentence. From beginning to end, he didn't even see what the person who killed him looked like. His strength is not bad, but his mind is too poor. A young man in a black robe walked out of the darkness slowly and walked to Mu Qingfeng's body. The tiger-headed broadsword moved and cut off his head. I always leave no trouble when I take action. To prevent you from pretending to be dead, I can only do this. Lu Yun muttered to himself and was about to leave when his eyes were suddenly attracted by a small purple bag on the body. Sumeru bag. With a flip of his wrist, the tiger-headed broadsword flexibly picked up the purple Sumeru bag in Lu Yun's hand. Immediately, he came to Mu Yingbo's body again and searched it, but found nothing. It seems that I thought too much. Lu Yun shook his head slightly and turned away. After killing Mu Qingfeng and Mu Yingbo, he did not leave Qingfeng Villa immediately, but wandered around various courtyards that looked quite good. Break the door. Kill people. No one can defeat his sword, and some people even die in their sleep. After killing dozens of people, Lu Yun left. It was not that he was soft-hearted. Qingfeng Villa was not like the bandit forces such as Tianfang Village and Black Tiger Gang, nor was it like Baiyun Villa colluding with the White Lotus sect. If he really massacred the entire Qingfeng Villa, it would inevitably lead to the investigation of the government. He only killed a dozen high-ranking officials. Even if they investigated, the efforts would not be too great, and it would not be easy to find him. Even if he could be found, it would be a long time later. By that time, he had grown into a strong man who could not be restrained by ordinary laws. And Qingfeng Villa, which lost more than a dozen high-ranking officials at once, would survive in the cracks even if it continued to exist. When Lu Yun returned to Lingxi village, it was already dawn. Xiaoyun, where did you go yesterday? Why did you come back now? After seeing Lu Yun, Lu He, who was practicing swordsmanship, complained, took the reins, and tied the pure-blooded black horse to a big tree in the corner of the courtyard. I went back to the county town overnight yesterday. Isn't that right? After explaining, Lu Yun looked into the room and asked, "Where's my sister? I heard you were back, and I was so happy that I couldn't sleep." At this point, Lu He glanced at Lu Yun and said unhappily, "In the end, I had to lie and say that you and the village chief had something important to discuss, and then I lay down." Looking up at the sky again, he saw that the sky was already turning pale, and said, "It should be about time to get up at this time." Lu Yun nodded, put the tiger-headed broadsword casually in a corner, moved the half-open door, and walked into the somewhat dark room. "Sister, I'm back," he said loudly. In the corner of the room, a pretty girl rolled up her sleeves and was washing vegetables. After hearing Lu Yun's voice, she used her wet forearm to smooth her hair, turned back and looked at Lu Yun and smiled. "Xiaoyun, wait a moment, the meal will be ready soon." "Okay, I'll help you wash the vegetables." Lu Yun also rolled up his sleeves and walked over. No, you haven't slept all night, take a good rest." Lu Yu hurriedly stood up and blocked Lu Yun, who came to help. "It's okay, I can stay awake for days and nights now, and I'm full of energy now." As he spoke, Lu Yun took the work from Lu Yu's hand. You've really grown up, and you don't listen to your sister anymore." Lu Yu said angrily, turned around and took the washed ingredients to the stove, lit a fire and cooked. Sisters and brothers are of one mind, and their strength can break metal. Not long after, the table was piled with fragrant meals. I can smell the fragrance from a long distance. Xiaoyu's cooking skills are good. Eldest brother Lu He came in from the door, wiped the sweat off his body with a linen cloth, walked to the dining table, and took a deep breath with great enjoyment. Xiaoyun is back, in a good mood, and of course her cooking skills are good. Lu Yu took up the chopsticks with a smile and distributed them to Lu He and Lu Yun. The three siblings began to eat. During the meal, Lu Yu told Lu Yun about what happened in Lingxi village in the past 4 months and all kinds of things he saw and heard. Even though he didn't like to listen, Lu Yun listened honestly. Looking at the smiles on Lu He and Lu Yu's faces, somehow, Lu Yun felt very calm and warm in his heart. Unfortunately, this warmth will not last too long. Practicing martial arts is like sailing against the current. If you don't advance, you will retreat. Even if Lu Yun has a panel, it's the same. After dinner, Lu Yu cleaned up the bowl, and the two brothers Lu Yun came to the courtyard. Xiao Yun, take a look at my swordsmanship, and teach me by the way. Lu He took out the hunting knife and began to perform the swordsmanship. Hoo-hoo. The swordsmanship is erratic, weird and elusive. And the speed is extremely fast. This is the only second-rate martial arts in Lingxi village, called chasing wind sword. Because it is in the same vein as the third-rate martial arts Pofeng sword technique, Lu He has practiced it to a small degree, and it has taken several months. Now he is stuck at a bottleneck and can never break through. Lu Yun is both at the peak of Tongmei realm and a master of swordsmanship, so he naturally saw the problem of Lu He at a glance. He did not point out the problem, but stopped Lu He. Brother, let me practice with you. Lu Yun stretched out his hand and a hunting knife hanging far away in the corner appeared in his hand. Do you really want to practice with me? Lu He looked at Lu Yun suspiciously and said, Lu Kai, who is at the peak of Tongmei realm, can't block your sword. Are you trying to beat me? Don't worry, I don't use true chi, and even my strength is controlled at the level of an ordinary mid-stage martial artist in the martial arts realm. Okay, don't cheat. Lu He looked at Lu Yun suspiciously, and then opened his stance. Lu Yun looked at his elder brother with interest and raised his fingers to signal him to attack. Xiao Yun, be careful. Lu He moved and turned into a blurry afterimage, attacking directly at Lu Yun. Lu Yun stood there, without any hesitation, and slashed out with his sword. Boom! Lu Yun's knife was fast and accurate, hitting Lu He's knife like a whip. Lu He felt a numbness in his arm, as if it was not his own hand. The speed is too slow. Lu Yun chuckled and moved forward. You can block this, so you are cheating. After saying this, Lu He was not shocked. He immediately swiped his long knife and slashed towards Lu Yun. Even warriors at the same level as him could rarely block this sword. Boom! Lu Yun blocked with one hand. When blocking, the shadow of the knife was blurred and incredibly fast. Lu He only felt something passing in front of him. Lu Yun took another step closer and then swung his knife. This knife is faster. Lu He wanted to retreat, but the speed was too fast and he couldn't make it in time. Boom! The sword flashed and accurately squeezed the handle of the knife in Lu He's hand. Lu He only felt pain in the tiger's mouth, and the hunting knife in his hand flew out of his hand as if it was hit by a heavy knife. Looking at the hunting knife stuck on the ground, and then at his empty right hand, Lu He felt depressed for a while. He attacked first, but only used 2 swords and was completely defeated. I lost. Lu He stood there, a little frustrated. I think, brother, the sword technique you just practiced focused on speed, but when you practice and fight, you focus on strength. In other words, in ugly words, you like to use brute force, which is why you never break the bottleneck. Quote. Lu He's eyes suddenly lit up when he heard this. It seemed to make sense, but he couldn't help but said, even if I use brute force, I still can't stop your sword. Have you used strength that exceeds the middle stage of entering the martial arts realm? Lu Yun couldn't help but smile bitterly, and explained, the reason why I can repel you is that I have skills. With just a little effort, I can move 1,000 pounds. Techniques. Lu He's eyes lit up when he heard this. I'm not busy with techniques for now. You should focus on improving your speed first. I'll teach you after I break through the bottleneck of sword skills. Okay. Name. Lu Yun. Affiliation. Filing Martial Academy. Martial Arts. Broken Wind Sword Technique Perfect. Cannot be upgraded. Hunyuan Gong Dongzhen. Cannot be upgraded. Pure Yang Gangchi Dongzhen. Cannot be upgraded. 7 Killing Sword Technique Tongshuan. Cannot be upgraded. Black Tiger Sword Technique Perfect. Cannot be upgraded. Fierce Wind and Lightning Step. 20% of Great Success. Golden Sun Refining Method not yet introductory. Root Bones. 6 stars. Martial Arts. Peak of Tongmei Realm. 14 meridians. 12 main meridians. Renyin Meridian. Duyang Meridian. Energy value. 1. State of mind. Killing state of mind. First level 5%. After upgrading Black Tiger sword technique and Fierce Wind and Lightning step to a higher level, Lu Yun's energy value was only 1. Among them, the Black Tiger sword technique has reached its limit after being upgraded to perfection. There are a total of 7 martial arts. Fierce Wind and Lightning step has already been fully developed and can continue to be upgraded. Although the remaining Golden Sun refining method has not yet been introductory, he has enough confidence to practice it to the entry level in a short time. So many martial arts also made Lu Yun feel a little unreal. In such a short time, other people have improved one of them to perfection, which is already considered a gifted talent. But Lu Yun has improved all of them to the limit, and even has a state of mind. His eyes fell on the panel of the martial arts column. Looking at the long list of introductions, Lu Yun thought, if it could be hidden or integrated with each other, it would be great. When he thought about the endless martial arts when he opened the panel in the future, he felt a headache. After shaking his head slightly and eliminating the unrealistic thoughts, Lu Yun calmed down and began to practice the Golden Sun refining method. As long as the whole body's true qi is refined once, the Golden Sun refining method can be considered as an entry. Lu Yun's whole body's true qi is transformed into pure Yang Gangqi. What he has to do is to refine the pure Yang Gangqi. After refining the pure Yang Gangqi 9 or 10 times, it will be transformed into pure Yang Gangyuan, which is the Yuanhua realm. My pure Yang Gangqi is more than 10 times more than others. I wonder how long it will take to refine it for the first time. The first time to refine the true qi is the easiest and takes the shortest time. The more you refine the true qi, the more difficult it will be and the more time it will take. Lu Yun calmed down. Since he understood the killing state, he could look inside his dantian. Before that, he could only have a vague understanding. In the dantian, the pure Yang Gangqi is like a big sun, the temperature gets higher towards the middle, and there are halos on the edges. Before opening up the Ren-Yin meridian and the Duyang meridian, although there is a lot of pure Yang Gangqi, it will not overflow the dantian. This also has an advantage. The overflowing pure Yang Gangqi in the dantian will not overflow from the body, but will flow through various parts of the body, subtly improving Lu Yun's body. Exit from the inner vision. Lu Yun also has a general understanding of the changes in his body. If he did not practice and let these pure Yang Gangqi improve his body, in just 1 or 2 years, his body would be strong enough to not fear any weapon below the real weapon. Obviously, this is the characteristic of pure Yang Gangqi, which is extremely strong and yang. Concentrating his mind, Lu Yun sat on the bed and began to refine the Gangqi according to the Golden Sun refining method. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Lu Yun withdrew from the state of practice. After 10 days of hard practice, he was only 60% away from refining the Gangqi. It must be said that the amount of his pure Yang Gangqi was too much, completely beyond his imagination. This made him happy and depressed. He had a 6-star root bone and a talent at the top of the pyramid in the entire Lingwu County. He practiced hard for 10 days and 10 nights, but he still did not complete the first refining. If other people knew about this, he really couldn't afford to lose face. Calming down his mind, looking inward at dantian. At this time, there was still a lot of pure Yang Gangqi in dantian, but it was just barely full, and there was no sign of overflowing. In addition, the pure Yang Gangqi seemed to be divided into 2 parts. One part was heavier and occupied the lower dantian, and the other part was lighter and occupied the upper dantian. The space occupied by the pure Yang Gangqi in the lower dantian seemed to be smaller, but in fact, it was much larger and of better quality. The pure Yang Gangqi that had been refined once was, of course, more powerful than the pure Yang Gangqi that had not been refined. For example, in the dantian now, the upper and lower parts of the pure Yang Gangqi were like 2 suspended sun furnaces. The lower furnace was smaller in size, but the temperature it emitted was hotter and the light was more dazzling. Lu Yun did not pay much attention to this, and his mind was back on the panel. At this time, the state of the Golden Sun refining method was still not in the entry level, but its cultivation progress had reached 67%. This cultivation progress was really slow, but it was also expected. The slower the refining speed, the more it proved his strong foundation and unlimited potential. The cultivation progress of geniuses was originally very fast, and it was very necessary to take more time to strengthen and consolidate the foundation. He looked at the energy value on the panel and found that it had accumulated to 3. Since his root bone was upgraded to 6 stars, he could automatically increase 1 energy value every 5 days. He practiced for 10 days and increased 2 energy values. Counting the previous one, the total was 3. Without thinking too much, Lu Yun added it to the Golden Sun refining method, and his practice progress increased to 70%. At the same time, the pure yang gang qi in the upper and middle parts of the dantian was gradually transformed and refined, and then after traveling through the meridians, it entered the lower dantian. I killed Mu Qingfeng last time and got a Sumeru bag. I didn't have time to check it and opened it to see if there was any elixir. Thinking of this, Lu Yun took out the Zumi bag. After a while, Lu Yun took out all the contents inside. More than 3,000 taels of silver were piled in a corner of the room. In addition, Lu Yun had 2 more things in his hand. One of them is martial arts, Ben Lei's sword technique. He is currently majoring in swordsmanship and has no interest in swordsmanship, so he puts the Thunderbolt swordsmanship back into his Sumeru bag. The other thing is elixir, a whole bottle of Xuanyuan Dan. Xuanyuan pill is an elixir used by warriors in the True Qi realm. It is mainly used to speed up the refining of True Qi. It is much more precious than Tongmei pill. In the Martial Academy pill house, a bottle of Xuanyuan pill requires 500 contribution points. In other words, this bottle of Xuanyuan Dan is worth about 50,000 taels of silver. Zumi bag is worth about 30,000 taels of silver. Coupled with the Thunder Sword technique. After doing this calculation, Lu Yun couldn't help but look down upon the dead Mu Qingfeng, who actually carried something worth more than 100,000 taels of silver with him. Putting away the Zumi bag, Lu Yun's eyes fell on Xuanyuan Dan, and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. The introduction to the Jinyang refining method has been completed. A bottle of Xuanyuan Dan still contains 10 pills. After taking it out, Lu Yun directly refined it. He opened 14 meridians, and the total amount of pure yang gang qi was greatly increased. In addition, 60% of the pure yang gang qi was refined, and the speed of refining the elixir was greatly increased. In less than half a cup of tea, all 10 Xuanyuan pills were refined. At the same time, the energy value on the panel surged to 350. Without hesitation, Lu Yun directly improved the Jin-Yang refining method. After consuming 30 energy values, the Golden Yang refining method is instantly upgraded to entry level. At the moment of the Jin-Yang refining method, the pure Yang Qi floating above Lu Yun's dantian began to compress and condense. After traveling through the meridians for a cycle, it returned to the dantian. After returning to the dantian, the pure yang qi had been refined, sinking to the bottom of the dantian and squeezing the unrefined pure yang qi upwards. This is a continuous process, and there is still a lot of pure yang qi that has not been refined, so it takes a long time to complete. 6 hours later, the pure yang qi was finally completely refined, and the dantian was no longer overflowing. The pure yang qi that had been refined once seemed to become heavier, quietly staying in the dantian, and desperately squeezing towards the bottom of the dantian, not as active as before. Lu Yun could feel that the pure yang qi at this moment was extremely condensed, and he could exert a stronger power with the same amount of pure yang qi. After the first refining was completed, Lu Yun's mind shifted from the dantian to the panel. Name: Lu Yun. Affiliation: Filing Martial Arts Academy. Martial Arts: Wind-breaking sword technique perfect, cannot be upgraded. Hunyuan Gong Dongzhen, cannot be upgraded, can be integrated. Pure Yang Gangqi Dongzhen, cannot be upgraded, can be integrated. 7 killing sword technique. Tongshuan, cannot be upgraded. Black Tiger sword technique perfect, cannot be upgraded. Fierce Wind Lightning Step, great success. 20%. Jinyang refining method entry 1%, can be integrated. Root bones, 6 stars. Martial arts, initial stage of True Qi realm 1 refining. Energy value 320, automatically increase 1 every 2 days. Artistic concept, killing artistic concept, first stage 5%. Entry of Jinyang refining method, martial arts promotion to True Qi realm level, At this time, Lu Yun's attention suddenly fell on the 3 martial arts of Hunyuan Gong, Pure Yang Gangqi, and Jinyang refining method. Because there was an extra panel behind these 3 martial arts, fusion. This discovery made Lu Yun both surprised and unexpected. Not long ago, he complained that it would be nice if there was a fusion function. He didn't expect the panel to be so considerate and fulfill Lu Yun's wish so quickly. Lu Yun's mind moved, and the fusion panel after Hunyuan Gong opened. It was found that Hunyuan Gong can be fused with Chunyang Gangqi, and the fusion consumes 100 energy values. It was found that Hunyuan Gong can be fused with Jinyang refining method, and the fusion consumes 300 energy values. Looking at this prompt, Lu Yun's expression remained unchanged, and the fusion panel of Hunyuan Gong was put away, and the fusion panel of Chunyang Gangqi was opened. It was found that Chunyang Gangqi can be fused with Hunyuan Gong, and the fusion consumes 100 energy values. It was found that Chunyang Gangqi can be fused with Jinyang refining method, and the fusion consumes 1000 energy values. Calmly put away the Chunyang Gangqi panel and reopened the Jinyang refining method panel. It was found that Jinyang refining method. The calmness on Lu Yun's face finally couldn't be held anymore, and the corners of his mouth unconsciously raised an arc. Strong, it's really too strong. Lu Yun kept roaring in his heart. It can be said that the more restless he was before, the more crazy he is now. Because he could no longer suppress his emotions and they broke out completely. After a long time, Lu Yun finally regained his composure. The current Jinyang refining method can only refine 9 times of qi after being cultivated to the extreme. So what will happen after the fusion of Hunyuan Gong and Chunyang Gangqi? Thinking of this, Lu Yun immediately took action to verify his guess. With a thought, 300 energy points disappeared. At the same time, Hunyuan Gong and Jinyang refining method disappeared on the panel at the same time. Consume 300 energy points. Hunyuan Gong and Jinyang refining method merged to produce a new martial art, Jinyang 10 refining. This information on the panel lasted for several breaths before disappearing. At the same time, a new martial art appeared behind the martial arts column. Jinyang 10 refining, 1% for entry, can be fused. Before Lu Yun could react, a strange memory emerged in his mind, which was the formula of Jinyang 10 refining and the experience of entry-level cultivation. While Lu Yun digested these memories, the pure Yang Gang Qi in his dantian began to compress again. It took about 3 hours for the pure Yang Gang Qi to be compressed. The martial arts column on the panel showed that the Gang Qi had only been refined once, but compared with before, the Gang Qi was more condensed now. Golden Sun 10 refining, Lu Yun whispered softly, with shock in his eyes. The Golden Sun 10 refining, which was fused by Hunyuan Gong and Golden Sun refining method, can not only increase the number of times the Gang Qi is refined, but also improve the refining effect. Then, Lu Yun opened the fusion panel of Golden Sun 10 refining. It was found that Golden Sun 10 refining and pure Yang Gang Qi can be fused, and the fusion consumes 1,300 contribution points. Sure enough, the more advanced the martial arts are, the more energy points are consumed. Previously, the fusion of pure Yang Gang Qi and Golden Sun refining method only required 1,000 energy points. After the Golden Sun refining method was upgraded to a higher level, it would take 300 more energy points to fuse again. It's a pity that I don't have any extra energy right now, otherwise, I would like to see the new martial arts that are fused with Jinyang 10 refinements and pure Yang Gangqi. After putting away the fusion panel of Jinyang 10 refinements, Lu Yun focused on the other martial arts. The wind-breaking sword technique, black tiger sword technique, 7-killing sword technique, and fierce wind lightning step are still the same, and no fusion panel has been added. Lu Yun pondered secretly for a long time, and then said to himself. The 3 martial arts of Hunyuan Gong, pure Yang Gangqi, and Jinyang refining method are all internal training. Could it be that only internal training martial arts can be fused? Or is there some connection between Hunyuan Gong, Chunyang Gangqi, and Jinyang refining method? If that's the case, perhaps the swordsmanship can also be integrated with each other. Thinking of this, Lu Yun secretly decided to try to find a few low-level swordsmanship to integrate when he had the chance. After practicing hard for more than 10 days, Lu Yun finally finished his practice. In the next few days, Lu Yun did not practice anymore, but quietly accompanied Lu Yu and Lu He, and also taught Lu He's swordsmanship. After a few days, Lu He finally practiced the scimitar to perfection. At the same time, he also left the black tiger swordsmanship to Lu He. Of all the martial arts, he could only pass on the wind-breaking swordsmanship, the black tiger swordsmanship, and the thunder swordsmanship obtained in Mu Qingfeng's Zumi bag. Among them, the wind-breaking swordsmanship does not need to be taught. he and Lu He are both practicing swordsmanship, and the thunder swordsmanship can only continue to stay in the Zumi bag. In addition, after knowing that Lu Yun had come out of retreat, other people in Lingxi village often came to visit, including senior figures such as Deputy Village Chief Lu Kang, Hunting Team Captain Lu Yang and Lu Mang. The old village chief Lu Kangsheng had been recuperating these days because of his serious injuries. Among those of Lu Yun's age, only Lu Tianyu had come to see Lu Yun several times. Lu Tianyu was very yearning for Filing Martial Arts Academy, and he came to Lu Yun to inquire about the situation of Filing Martial Arts Academy. Of course, Lu Yun just said some simple things casually, and he didn't want to hit Lu Tianyu. In short, the days in Yunxi village were simple and peaceful, and it seemed that time could not be felt. In a blink of an eye, another half a month had passed. It was time to leave. The next morning, it was dawn. At the entrance of Lingxi village, Deputy Village Chief Lu Kang led many villagers to see Lu Yun off. After the incident at Tianfang village, the villagers of Lingxi village were very grateful to Lu Yun. Those children were even more envious and admired, and their eyes were shining when they looked at Lu Yun. Lu Yun, Lingxi village will always be your support. If one day you are tired and don't want to continue climbing on the road of martial arts, Lingxi village and all the villagers of Lingxi village welcome you. Lu Kang looked at Lu Yun and solemnly exhorted him. Although he knew that this was almost impossible, he still had to make a promise. This was also the promise of all the villagers in Lingxi village. Just because Lu Yun saved everyone at the critical moment and did not let Lingxi village be bloodbathed. Just because Lu Yun was young and slaughtered the peak of Tongmei realm like slaughtering a dog. Xiao Yun, you are the pride of our Lingxi village, and even more so the pride of Xiao Yu and me. We are waiting for you to become famous all over the world. Lu He patted Lu Yun's shoulder and laughed loudly, his eyes full of pride. That day will not be too long. Lu Yun smiled and nodded, looking at Lu Yu beside him. At this time, Lu Yu had grown a little taller, only half a head shorter than Lu He. She gently tiptoed and rubbed Lu Yun's head lovingly, her eyes full of tenderness and love, pursed her lips, wanting to say something, but she couldn't say it. After a long time, her eyes gradually covered with a layer of mist, and then she choked and said, Xiao Yun, I know you are very talented and strong, but I still want to remind you, be careful when you go out. Although she had only been blinded for a period of time, she also knew that her brother was a real dragon, destined to take off. A small Lingxi village could not restrain him at all. Only a bigger and farther place would be his real stage. All she could do was to support him silently and watch him grow and take off. Seeing Lu He, who was full of pride, and Lu Yu, whose eyes were red and full of reluctance, Lu Yun's calm mood was turbulent at this time. He wanted to stay and enjoy the warmth of his family and the peace and tranquility of Lingxi village. But this dangerous thought was instantly extinguished by him. Weak warmth and tranquility are temporary and fragile. Once a strong external force intervenes and interferes, it will be shattered in an instant. Just like the last time Tianfang village attacked, if Lu Yun had not arrived in time, Lingxi village would have been a river of blood. Only by being strong can it last long. Only by being absolutely strong can it be eternal. Thinking of this, Lu Yun's determination to leave became more determined. Sister, brother, I'm leaving. After saying this, Lu Yun looked at the people who came to see him off, smiled and nodded, and resolutely got on the horse and left. Go! With a sharp shout, the pure-blooded black horse accelerated suddenly as if it had been injected with chicken blood, turned into a black shadow, and quickly disappeared at the entrance of the village. Lu Tianyu looked into the distance, where Lu Yun disappeared last, clenched his fists, and murmured. Lu Yun, the gap between us is getting bigger and bigger, but I will never forget the promise we made. His voice was so light that it was covered by the sound of the rising wind. After leaving Lingxi village, the morning sun rose. The golden morning sun sprinkled down, and the whole land was dotted with a layer of gold. A man and a horse ran wildly on the golden land, and a long shadow was chasing behind them. I have been delayed in Lingxi village for so long, and I don't know if there has been any change in the mission. He originally intended to stay in Lingxi village for a while and then leave, but the plan could not keep up with the changes, and he stayed in Lingxi for a month. There is no time limit for the mission, and according to the deacon, the monster will not leave easily, so it shouldn't be a big problem to delay for a month. Thinking of this, Lu Yun felt much more relaxed, and even slowed down his speed. Passing through official roads, mountain roads, and small roads, Lu Yun appeared outside a dilapidated village on his horse near dusk. Standing outside the village, you can see that the weeds on both sides of the village road are growing well, and the grains in the wheat fields are also quite lush, which is in sharp contrast to the dilapidated village that looks very dilapidated from a distance. According to the mission, when the government found this place, the villagers inside had been killed and no one was left alive. At the same time, this is also the last place where the monster appeared. Since it can become a mission of the Martial Arts Academy, and the description of the mission only mentions this village, it means that the monster is near this village. However, there is no human habitation within a radius of dozens of miles of this village. Where will the monster be? Lu Yun did not enter the village, but found a place with a wide view to observe the surrounding terrain. Sure enough, as he expected, it was pitch black dozens of miles southwest of the village. Grinning, Lu Yun whipped away. About half an hour later, the dark mountains in the distance came into view. If I'm not mistaken, the monster must have escaped into this mountain range. Muttering to himself, Lu Yun quickly headed for the mountain range. The Wumong Mountains are now in a blockade phase, and no outsiders are allowed to enter. Just as Lu Yun was about to enter the mountains, two warriors in black armor suddenly appeared and stopped Lu Yun. Oh, so this is the Wumong Mountains, Lu Yun said in his heart, and at the same time, his eyes swept over the two people. Both of them were in the late stage of the martial arts realm, wearing black armor, with a firm look, not like ordinary warriors. Curious, he asked, "Who are you and why are you blocking my way?" "I'll say it again, no outsiders are allowed in," one of the black-armored warriors said coldly again. "What if I have to go in? There are two results, one is to die under my sword, and the other is to die in the mountains." Lu Yun was stunned and asked, "Why do you say that?" Another black-armored warrior looked more friendly and explained, "We are under the command of Captain Wang Junhao of the Black Tiger Army. We are ordered to guard this place. One is to prevent local people from breaking into Wumong Mountain, and the other is to prevent the monster inside from coming out of the mountain to harm people. I see that you have some cultivation, but I advise you to go back to where you came from, so as not to lose your life." Lu Yun's eyes flashed with a barely perceptible gleam of brilliance. He continued to ask, "Why don't you go into the mountain and completely destroy the monster, so that you don't have to guard it for a long time?" The black-armored warrior said, "This is an order from our superiors, and we must not disobey it." "I see. You know enough, brat. If you don't want to die, go back." Lu Yun ignored the black-armored warrior and said to the other man, "You are idle anyway, so help me take care of the horse for a while." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Yun jumped off the horse's back and flew over the two people. Then, he tapped on a tree trunk in the distance, and his figure disappeared in the woods in the blink of an eye. The two black-armored warriors looked at each other, and finally looked back and forth at the black horse left by Lu Yun and the tree trunk where he stayed for the last moment. "This is at least a dozen feet away." He jumped over without a run-up or leverage. The black-armored warrior who had been scolding Lu Yun was shocked. "It's such a long distance, why don't you jump over and let me see?" The friendly black-armored warrior taunted, and said in an inexplicable tone, "It's obviously flying over." Entering the deep mountains and old forests, there is silence. The sunlight is blocked by the towering trees with lush branches. Only the slightest afterglow squeezes in from the gaps, nourishing a few lucky flowers and plants. Walking on the dark and damp ground, there will be the crunching sound of broken leaves from time to time. Lu Yun was walking quickly in the dense forest. Although the Wumong mountain range is not connected to the endless mountains like the Yunmeng mountain range, it is not a branch of the 100,000 mountains. But its range is very vast, and it is not easy to find the third-level monster in a short time. Sand. Lu Yun, who was traveling quickly, suddenly heard a slight noise. Since he understood the artistic conception of killing, his hearing and vision have been greatly improved. The slightest movement could not escape his perception, let alone in such a silent environment. Over there, Lu Yun looked to the left. A clearly audible rustling sound gradually came from a group of thorns in the distance, and then a black head slowly emerged. It spat out a long snake message, and its dark red eyes were cold as it looked at the human in front of it calmly. Phew! His figure moved suddenly, and suddenly shot towards Lu Yun like a black arrow. Lu Yun didn't even pull out his knife, he randomly inspired a blast of energy, cut it in half, and dropped it at his feet. I thought it was some big guy, but I didn't expect it was just a small snake. Lu Yun muttered to himself, stepped on the struggling head, crushed it into a ball of flesh, and left without looking back. Within the Yuan dynasty, except for the branch mountains of the Shiwen Mountains, there were very few monsters in other mountain ranges, only some uncivilized beasts and insects. Of course, there will always be some monsters that break through the defense line and enter the territory of Daewon for some reasons. If a monster breaks into the defense line at will, it will cause certain damage to the people within the territory. The goal of Lu Yun's mission this time was to accidentally break into the defense line from nowhere, massacre a village, and then escape into the Wumeng Mountains. Of course, it will be buried in the Wumeng Mountains. Lu Yun speeded up and went deep into the mountains. On the other side, when Lu Yun entered the Wumeng Mountains with force, the two black-armored warriors immediately reported the matter to their superior, the 10-man captain Yahweh. Finally, Yahweh reported it to the school captain. The school lieutenant leads an army of 100 people. In addition, the structure of the Black Tiger Army is different from other armies. The ordinary soldiers have entered the martial arts realm. The captain's name was Chen Fan, who was in the middle stage of the True Qi realm. Under the orders of the captain Wang Junhao, he pursued the third-level monster that escaped into the defense line, and finally chased it to the Wumeng Mountains. Later, due to negotiations with the Filing Martial Academy, it was used as a disciple trial task. So, that young man should be a disciple of Filing Martial Academy. Please pay close attention to him and report to me after he comes out of the mountain. Wearing battle armor, Chen Fan has a heroic appearance and an aura that is calm and majestic. What if the other party dies? Yahweh asked worriedly. That means this is a waste. It would be better to die. Living will only waste resources. Chen Fan's tone was calm, as if he was narrating a very ordinary thing. On the top of a high mountain in the Wumeng Mountains, Lu Yun squatted on the highest point and looked down into the distance. It has been more than 10 days since I entered the Wumeng Mountains. I have searched almost half of the Wumeng Mountains, but I still haven't found the shadow of the monster. Lu Yun was very helpless. If he had known that this was the case, he would not have accepted this task even if he had died. Not only was it laborious, but it would also take time. During these days in the Wumeng Mountains, Lu Yun's only gain was to increase the Gale Lightning step to 30%. This is the result of his own hard training without the help of energy value. The fusion of the Golden Yang 10 refiners and the pure Yang Gang Qi still lacked nearly 1,000 energy points, so he did not dare to abuse it at will. Of course, Dacheng's Gale Lightning steps were enough for him, which was why he was able to search most of the Wumeng Mountains in more than 10 days. Finally, search for 10 more days. If you still can't find it in 10 days, give up the mission. With a secret thought in his heart, Lu Yun moved, thunder seemed to grow under his feet, and he disappeared on the top of the mountain. Hoo. The deeper you go into the Wumeng Mountains, the deeper the snow becomes, as if it were a snow-capped mountain that has never melted for thousands of years, and the air is filled with cold air. Lu Yun used the Gale Lightning step to move quickly, detecting and looking for traces of monsters. A few days later, Lu Yun's ears suddenly moved. The fast-moving figure immediately stopped, looked at a high ground, and said to himself, the movement seems to be coming from that way. Soon, he came to the high ground, quietly popped his head and looked forward. In the distance is a large lake, like a bright mirror, embedded among the peaks. The shadows of ice peaks, blue sky and white clouds are reflected in the lake water, forming a beautiful picture. Beside the lake, a large number of snow-white wolves gathered, either in twos or threes, either drinking water or half lying on the grass beside the lake. At first glance, they were densely packed, and there were probably hundreds of them. Not far from the wolves, there were several large beasts lying on the ground. Wild boars, bison, etc. were lying on the ground dying, with bloodstains on their backs and abdomens, and the most critical wound was on the neck. Suddenly, rumbling bubbles kept popping up in the Emerald Lake. Boom! There was a loud explosion, followed by a huge water column rising into the sky, and a large silver figure flying out from it, which turned out to be a giant silver wolf. This silver giant wolf is much taller than other snow wolves, and its hair emits a faint silver light, as if there is electricity flowing, which looks quite strange and beautiful. When it flew out of the water, the snow wolves that were playing in the water or sleeping lazily stood up one by one, looked up to the sky and howled, as if they were worshipping this silver giant wolf. Finally I found you. Lu Yun grinned and showed a smile. He didn't expect that this silver moon wolf would live such a comfortable life after escaping to the Wumeng Mountains. Not only did it become the king, but it also found such a great place. Lu Yun stared at the silver moon wolf served by many snow wolves by the lake, and his heart was quite touched. But if you are encountered by me, your good days will be over. Kill. Lu Yun's eyes flashed with cold light, and the whole person quickly rushed to the lakeside. Although there were many snow wolves and they were huge, they were just wild beasts. Even a slightly stronger warrior in the martial realm could not defeat them, so Lu Yun naturally did not take them seriously. After he performed the fierce wind lightning step, his speed was extremely terrifying, and he arrived at the lakeside in a blink of an eye. At the same time, his sudden intrusion broke the tranquility here. Roar! A deep and loud voice came from the mouth of the silver moon wolf. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. All the snow wolves instantly raised their heads, staring at Lu Yun with their scarlet eyes, and their feet kept rubbing against the ground. Roar! The silver moon wolf howled, and the snow wolves charged towards Lu Yun like soldiers who had received orders. Faced with so many snow wolves, ordinary Qi realm warriors might have to temporarily avoid the sharp edge. Lu Yun didn't think too much, and turned into a flash of lightning and rushed into the group of snow wolves. Die! Lu Yun swung the tiger-headed broadsword in his hand. Swish! The broadsword was like lightning, as fast as lightning, and the sound of breaking the wind resounded. At the moment when the broadsword was slashed, there were gusts of howling wind. To kill these snow wolves, Lu Yun didn't need a powerful sword technique at all. The lowest level of breaking wind sword technique would be enough. The snow wolf above hadn't rushed up completely, and was attacked by Lu Yun. You are too weak. Lu Yun had no mercy at all, and the sword light flashed suddenly, and two snow wolves were cut. Their bodies are very strong, but their defense capabilities are much worse than those of monsters. The monsters absorb the essence of the sun and moon, refine the treasures of heaven and earth, and their bodies are extremely powerful. These beasts are not intelligent, and have no other advantages except some brutal strength and natural speed. Sweep the thousands of troops. The sword light spread in the air, and the dozens of snow wolves that fluttered up were ripped open. No body remained intact, and the blood dyed the snow red. Sweep the mountains. The second style of the broken wind sword technique is more powerful than the first style of sweeping the thousands of troops. All the snow wolves within a few feet of Lu Yun's body seemed to be attacked by a terrifying storm and were blown away by the powerful force. Destroy the universe. In an instant, Lu Yun's area within a dozen feet was covered by dense and powerful sword light, and the sword energy was rampant. Under such a terrifying and powerful attack, there was no snow wolf standing completely around, and the ground was full of broken bodies. The originally pure white snow was stained with a layer of crimson. Roar, roar, roar. There were still a dozen snow wolves in the distance, seemingly the leaders of the pack. They were trembling all over and retreating continuously under the pressure of Lu Yun's powerful momentum. Awoo! The silver white-haired silver moon wolf roared loudly, commanding the remaining snow wolves to continue charging, wanting to tear the approaching humans into pieces. However, the remaining snow wolf leaders' fear of Lu Yun completely exceeded their awe of the silver moon wolf at this time. They were no longer obedient, trembling constantly, and retreating to the rear. You are not smart, but you are quite sensible. Lu Yun did not continue to pay attention to these snow wolves that were as weak as ants. His eyes were fixed on the silver moon wolf in the distance, which was his goal. At this time, the silver moon wolf saw that the snow wolves not only stopped moving forward, but were constantly retreating. He was immediately angry and bit the neck of the snow wolf closest to him. Woo! The snow wolf just whimpered and completely lost its breath. Even so, the other snow wolves did not stop and continued to retreat. Roar! The silver moon wolf attacked again, and another snow wolf died under its claws. The weak are so pitiful that they can never control life and death. Whether facing Lu Yun or the silver moon wolf, they were so weak that they had no power to resist. How sad and unfortunate. If they can't resist, they can only run away. In a blink of an eye, the remaining snow wolves fled from all directions. The silver moon wolf couldn't stop all the snow wolves and could only leave them alone. In this regard, Lu Yun did not make a move to stop them. All his attention was on this silver moon wolf. If he accidentally let it escape, the huge Wumong Mountains would be enough for him to search. Although Lu Yun killed hundreds of snow wolves with thunder, the real strength he showed was about the same as that of the early stage of the True Qi realm, so the silver moon wolf did not feel much threat but had no idea of retreating. Its front feet kept rubbing on the ground, and soon a snow pit appeared. The silver moon wolf was very patient. It did not launch an attack at the first moment, but kept observing Lu Yun and waiting for the opportunity. Lu Yun did not have so much patience. He started to move after he found that the silver moon wolf had no intention of escaping. For him, as long as the silver moon wolf did not escape at the first moment, he would be sure to kill it. Lu Yun kicked his right foot and jumped up. His speed and aura were still at the level of an ordinary warrior in the early stage of the True Qi realm. Be prepared to die. When he approached a certain distance, Lu Yun's speed suddenly increased, and at the same time, the internal qi burst out, and the powerful momentum frightened the silver moon wolf all over. Without any hesitation, the silver moon wolf ran away and ran wildly towards the dense forest on the right. Unfortunately, it was too late. When Lu Yun completely exploded, the fate of this silver moon wolf was doomed. Swoosh! The Dacheng fierce wind lightning step was fully exerted, and Lu Yun's speed instantly improved qualitatively. The thunder and lightning under Lu Yun's feet were several times more intense, like a flash of thunder, whooshing and leaving a phantom. He quickly chased after the silver moon wolf, stepped on its back, and then slashed it with a knife. Boom! The knife light was as condensed as water, several feet long, and directly passed through the whistling cold wind and fell on the neck of the silver moon wolf. Cut through thick hair, wolf skin, muscles, bones. Everything was cut. The speed was extremely fast, the power was too strong, and the knife light was too sharp, completely exceeding the limit of the silver moon wolf's physical defense. Its body, which was harder than steel, was as brittle as thin paper under this knife. The sword light fell, and the huge silver moon wolf head was thrown directly into the air. There was still disbelief in the eyes on the head. Until its death, it didn't know how the other party caught up with it, or how it suddenly broke into the neck with such a sharp knife and cut off its own head. With a pop, Silver Moon Wolf's head was stuck in the snow, and its strong body collapsed. A third-level monster died just like that. Walk. After killing the Silver Moon Wolf, Lu Yun didn't listen at all. Thunder flashed under his feet, and his whole body turned into a stream of thunder and rushed towards the outside of the Wumong Mountains. When leaving the Wumong Mountains, Lu Yun did not need to look for monsters. In less than a day, he completely walked out of the cold and dense Wumong Mountains. The two black tiger troops were still waiting in place, along with a well-fed pureblood black horse. Thank you both for watching the horses. Lu Yun chuckled, mounted his horse, and drove away, leaving the two black tiger soldiers standing there looking at each other. He left before we had a chance to ask anything. Let's go and report this to Lieutenant Ya quickly. Report to the captain. Before my two men had time to inquire about the news, the martial arts disciples rode away. After receiving the news, Yahweh immediately reported to Chen Fan. Got it, Chen Fan said calmly, and immediately ordered all the Black Tiger troops stationed in the Wumong Mountains to return to camp. As the monster ignored, Yahweh was slightly stunned and asked doubtfully, I have just received the news that the Silver Moon Wolf has been killed by the martial arts disciples. I will return to camp immediately after the task is completed. Yes, Captain Ya took the order and left. Half a month later, Lu Yun returned to Filing Martial Academy. This mission lasted almost 3 months. Fortunately, when he returned to the Martial Arts Academy and handed in the task in the demon-slaying area, the deacon didn't ask any questions. After verifying the information, he directly allocated 800 contribution points to Lu Yun. Lu Yun also discovered that the deacon seemed to have received the news that he had killed Silver Moon Wolf. However, he didn't pay too much attention. After leaving the mission hall, he went directly to the Vientiane Tower. This time, he did it quietly and did not attract anyone's attention. The 9th floor of Vientiane Tower. 51 horned wild boars, each one is at the 2nd level peak monster level. The moment they saw Lu Yun, everyone roared loudly and attacked Lu Yun. Court death. Lu Yun snorted coldly and turned into thunder and lightning and rushed into the group of one-horned wild boars. The long sword was unsheathed, and the light of the sword suddenly lit up with thunderbolts. With a flash of the knife, several one-horned wild boars were cut into pieces. I saw the light of the sword flashing again and again. Lu Yun was advancing in a straight line. The light of his sword flashed again and again. The one-horned wild boar that was surrounding him was cut easily, and a huge gap emerged from the middle. Looking back, only 2/3 of the 50-peak second-level one-horned wild boars were left. In one charge, only a dozen one-horned wild boars were killed. In the Wumong Mountains, hundreds of snow wolves were killed by him in an instant, leaving only a few scattered ones. At that time, the strength he showed was only at the early stage of the ordinary true Qi realm. It can be seen from this that there is no comparison between those snow wolves in front of the second-level monsters. Looking at the one-horned wild boar that was besieging them again, Lu Yu's eyes turned cold. I killed you to the point of fear last time. I haven't seen you for a while and you have become so rampant again. It seems that I don't have a long memory. In that case, let me die completely. Kill. Lu Yun swung his knife in an instant. The sword struck out wildly. Whoosh, whoosh. I saw swords several feet long flying out, and in the blink of an eye Lu Yun slashed dozens of knives. Dozens of sword rays struck at the besieging one-horned wild boar. The last time, he used the same sword, which consumed most of his gangqi and also killed all the one-horned wild boars. This time, the same move was performed, but the energy consumed was only a small part. The power displayed was much more powerful and terrifying than last time. The condensed and sharp sword light caused space fluctuations on the 9th floor of the Vientiane Tower. The energy collided wildly, and dense arc-shaped sword lights cut out. The one-horned wild boars were unable to react at all. Puff puff. The powerful and terrifying sword lights sliced through, and in the blink of an eye, all the remaining 31 horned wild boars were killed. The 9th floor of the Vientiane Tower is nothing more than that. As all the one-horned boars were killed, the vortex portal to the 10th floor appeared again. At this time, several months had passed since the last time he passed the 8th floor of the Vientiane Tower. He passed the 9th and 10th floors of the Vientiane Tower in one go. Although it was still amazing, it was not so amazing that it was unbearable. Therefore, Lu Yun did not hesitate and strode into it. The 10th floor of Vientiane Tower. The environment of this space is completely different from the first 9 floors. It is a jungle covered with snow. The snowy environment made the surrounding temperature very low, and the eerie cold air rushed towards Lu Yun's face. Before it even touched Lu Yun's body, he was extinguished by a hot breath. Lu Yun moved forward with the tiger-headed sword in hand, and soon he saw a huge cave in front of him. There are several giant white bears playing outside the cave. Each of these white bears is strong and almost 10 feet tall. Their shoulders are bulging high, and their strong muscles reveal amazing strength. The cold environment made the hair on its body long and thick, covering its body tightly, as if it were a layer of natural white armor. These white bears look very strong and have terrifying defenses, but there are only more than 10 of them, and they are only at the second-level peak. Lu Yun observed and immediately made a judgment: this is by no means the entire number. There should be more in the dark. There are more, even more powerful white bears. Before he could detect other places where monsters might be ambushed, the dozens of giant bears stopped playing and stood upright with their tall and strong bodies, staring at Lu Yun, the uninvited guest. Roar! One of the loud noises suddenly moved, waving its strong arms, and sprinted towards Lu Yun. That huge body did not slow down its speed. On the contrary, it provided a lot of momentum for its charge. When it charged, the ground shook and it looked unstoppable. When this giant bear launched a charge, the other dozen or so giant bears did not act immediately. In their view, their companions were enough to deal with this tiny guy. Lu Yun stood in the snow, calmly looking at the charging giant bear. The giant bear charged, the hair on its body shaking constantly, and the powerful vibration caused the snow on the surrounding trees to fall to the ground. Roar! When the giant bear approached Lu Yun, it jumped up and its huge body fell towards Lu Yun with the force of Mount Tai. Lu Yun never moved, but he instantly raised the tiger-headed sword in his hand and thrust it at the rapidly falling giant bear. Laugh! The long knife seemed to be inserted into something all at once, without any obstruction, and went straight to Wanglong. Lu Yun looked at the giant bear stuck upside down on the tiger's head sword like a hill, with a strange look on his face. He thought, why did you insist on sitting on me with your buttocks? Now you are suffering. I saw that the tiger-headed broadsword was like a spear, and it penetrated the giant bear's buttocks deeply. Awoo! The giant bear finally felt the pain from its anus, and howled to the sky. The whole forest was filled with the sound of the giant bear's painful groans. The blade rotated slightly and completely immersed in the giant bear's body. The blade energy dissipated and wantonly destroyed its vitality. Feeling that it was almost done, the long knife was pulled out, and the giant bear's huge body fell heavily from the air, and blood gurgled from its anus. It seems that even for giant bears, the anus is also a vital part of the body. Lu Yun secretly commented, looking up at the cave in the distance. He felt that there should be more and stronger giant bears in it. As soon as he looked up, he saw that the dozens of giant bears showed hatred and fierceness in their eyes, roared angrily, and rushed towards Lu Yun at the same time. They had originally ignored Lu Yun, a tiny intruder, but they had never expected that this tiny outsider would kill their companion with just one blow. This made them feel a huge threat, and their hearts were filled with anger and hatred. Roar! Dozens of giant bears rushed towards Lu Yun at the same time. Their powerful bodies and impact force caused the ground to vibrate more violently, and the surrounding trees began to shake. There are only 12 of them. It shouldn't take long, Lu Yun thought to himself. The physique and defense of these giant bears are far superior to those of the unicorn wild boar. If you want to save energy, you must attack their vital points. He glanced around and took in the 12 giant bears charging at him. Each giant bear rushed over with great power. As he got closer, it was easier for Lu Yun to find their flaws. Found it. A gleam of light flashed in Lu Yun's eyes, and he used the fierce wind and lightning step to instantly dodge the attacks that came at him. While dodging, Lu Yun also slashed with a knife. Puff! The long knife sank into its neck and chopped down horizontally. A giant bear fell down in response. He used the same trick again and used the fierce wind and lightning step again to dodge the next round of attacks. Another giant bear's forehead was pierced. Killing these second-level monsters is too easy. Lu Yun felt a little bored and there was no challenge at all. But at this moment, oh-ho! Suddenly, a series of deep and powerful roars came from the cave. The roars came one after another, causing Lu Yun's face to change slightly. There was indeed a big guy in the cave. The ground shook, and huge giant bears rushed out of the cave. From the haziness left in their eyes, it seemed that they had just woken up. No, they should have been woken up from a deep sleep. 10, 20, 30. While dodging and killing giant bears, Lu Yun kept counting the number of giant bears rushing out of the cave. Not long after, more than 30 giant bears rushed out of the cave and surrounded Lu Yun. 37, plus the 13 at the beginning, a total of 50 giant bears. Lu Yun quickly knew the number of giant bears, but he was a little confused. Could it be that the 10th floor of the Wanxiang Tower is the same as the 9th floor, with only 52nd level peak monsters? Of course, these giant bears are stronger than the one-horned wild boars on the 9th floor in terms of individual strength and overall strength. The giant bears are stronger in size and physical defense. Maybe it's true, Lu Yun muttered secretly, but a cold light flashed in his eyes, and he sped up again to meet these giant bears that were besieging him. On the way back to the martial academy from the Wumeng Mountains, he did not rush completely, and he was constantly practicing the fierce wind and lightning step. Now the progress of the fierce wind and lightning step has been improved to 50% of the great success, which makes Lu Yun's speed even more terrifying. Although the giant bears are angry, they can't touch Lu Yun's body at all. On the contrary, they are constantly attacked by Lu Yun at their weak points and killed with one knife. In less than half a cup of tea, more than a dozen giant bears fell to the ground. Although the individual strength of the monster beast is stronger than that of the warrior, if I face 50 peak warriors of the Tongmei realm at the same time, it may not be so easy to deal with them. Lu Yun looked at these extremely chaotic giant bears that occasionally bumped into their companions when charging, and a little light flashed in his eyes. Puff! A knife pierced deeply through the heart of the giant bear. When another giant bear pounced on him, Lu Yun put away his knife and dodged. While dodging, his body shook, and he turned around and slashed with a knife. The energy burst out and directly split the abdomen of the other one. Although the giant bear's defense was terrifying, it could not stop the knife injected with pure yang energy. After killing several giant bears in succession, Lu Yun became more relaxed. He performed the fierce wind and lightning step and wandered among the crazy and angry giant bears. He could feel that his footwork was slowly improving, which was why he gradually slowed down his attack. Use it to advance, don't use it to retreat. This principle also applies in this world. If I fight like this for half a month, I'm afraid that the fierce wind and lightning step can be improved to perfection without using energy value. Lu Yun couldn't help thinking in his heart. Puff. As his body flashed, Lu Yun left a big hole on the neck of another giant bear. Boom. He chopped down with a knife from the front, and the fierce force burst out, cutting off the arm of a giant bear coming from the front. The big knife went straight into its throat. When I go out, should I immediately announce that I have passed the 10th floor of the Wanxiang Tower, or wait for a while? While fighting with the remaining giant bears, Lu Yun was also thinking about the next plan. At this moment, a louder roar sounded, which startled Lu Yun to withdraw his thoughts and look at the dark cave. The cave shook violently, and 4 even larger giant bears walked out of it. Compared with these giant bears, the previous giant bears seemed like cubs, and their size was twice as small. The 10th floor of the Wanxiang Tower is really not that simple. Lu Yun's eyes fell on the 4 giant bears. 3 of the giant bears were 2 feet tall, and their bodies were as strong as a small mountain. Every time they took a step, the surrounding trees made a swish sound. Unsurprisingly, these 3 monsters have broken through the limit of the 2nd level and are truly 3rd level. However, Lu Yun's attention is on the other giant bear. The 3-meter-tall body, the thick arms like pillars, and the powerful momentum that can be felt from afar, all of which symbolize the opponent's strength and terror. The last giant bear, I'm afraid it has reached the middle stage of the 3rd level. Lu Yun muttered secretly, but a cold light flashed in his eyes, and the terrifying momentum increased again. With ghostly movements, he flashed between the remaining ordinary giant bears, ready to end the battle as quickly as possible, and then focus on the last 4 giant bears. Oh-ho! Seemingly seeing their reinforcements had arrived, the remaining dozen giant bears became more courageous, waving their strong arms to slap Lu Yun. Not to mention, after the number of these giant bears decreased, the cooperation between them was improved a lot, and there was no collision between them before. However, this did not make much difference to Lu Yun, who was serious. The moment he decided to be serious, his momentum suddenly changed, and the boundless murderous aura spread out, gradually covering the area of 10 feet in radius. Lu Yun's eyes flashed with blood-red light. At this moment, Lu Yun's momentum changed greatly, with both an extremely hot masculine breath and a bone-chilling coldness. This is Lu Yun after the full outbreak of pure yang energy and the release of the killing state of mind. He felt that he was more powerful than ever before. Dregs, die. Lu Yun squeezed out a few words from his teeth, and the whole person turned into a blood-red thunder light and rushed to kill. Puff puff puff. These 2nd-level peak giant bears were not Lu Yun's strength at all. After a dozen breaths, only 4 giant bears remained on the 10th floor of the Wanxiang Tower. The smallest one was 2 feet tall, and Lu Yun was not as thick as one of its legs. However, the aura Lu Yun exuded was more powerful than any of them, including the giant bear that seemed to be in the middle stage of the 3rd stage. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.